podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte. Yeah, and this is your Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks all over the country, Sunday, December 5th, 2021, the 8th night of Hanukkah. This is episode 1850. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Udacity. Udacity offers online education that's geared toward people looking to take their tech knowledge to the next level. Get the in-demand tech skills you need to advance your career. Visit udacity.com/twit to learn more. And by SimpliSafe. Take advantage of SimpliSafe's holiday deals and get 40% off your new home security system by visiting simplisafe.com/twit. And by userway.org. Userway ensures your website is accessible, ADA compliant, and helps your business avoid accessibility-related lawsuits. The perfect way to showcase your brand's commitment to millions of people with disabilities. It's not only the right thing to do, it's also the law. Go to userway.org/twit for 30% off Userway's AI-powered accessibility solution. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. You call me, we'll talk tech. Website, techguylabs.com. That's where you'll find answers to the questions, links, if I mention them, so you don't have to write anything down. There's also audio and video. Yeah, video from the show. Boy, there's nothing more exciting. Nothing more exciting than watching a radio show on TV. It's almost as bad as this morning at 4 a.m. me watching the World Chess Championship match. It's not gripping television. It's not. At least with the chess championship, there's two people and there's moves, slow as they might be. Me, it's just one guy and a microphone. Anyway, we make videos for you, and it's all at techguylabs.com. Speaking of video, we get a call all the time. In fact, Scott Wilkinson's bemoaned this. I've talked to other people. My friend Steve Gibson was watching Foundation. And he said, what is it about modern TV and movies? The dialogue is hard to understand. Scott says, Dune, it was okay, but I couldn't understand what they were saying there. And I hear this a lot. And my initial reaction is, you're old, right? You're just old. And, when my dad got older and he had hearing problems, he would say to me, you're mumbling. And I would say, no, Dad, I'm not mumbling. You're old. But in fact, there might actually be an issue. Just read an article at Slash Film by Ben Pearson, one of my favorite kind of fan blogs. Here's why movie dialogue has gotten more difficult to understand and 3 ways to fix it. So acknowledging, and these are younger people writing this. Yeah, it's hard to understand. I remember when Robert Altman was in his heyday. And he made movies like MASH and McCabe and Mrs. Miller and Nashville. And he intentionally, this was his thing, overlapped dialogue. So people, because he said this is how it is in life. In life, everybody doesn't declaim clearly. That's movies in the 30s. Everybody speaks with perfect diction one at a time, and there's no overlapping and nobody talking under their breath. And then along comes Marlon Brando and the method acting, and people start talking under there with marbles in their mouth. And then comes Robert Altman, the director, who says, you don't have to hear every word of dialogue. Sometimes they could be talking over each other, and he's famous for that. And you watch McCabe and Mrs. Miller, you can't understand half of what they're saying. And that was in the 70s or 60s, maybe even. But it is difficult. And in modern times, it's gotten even worse. And so there's a number of reasons Pearson explains in his article why this is. One, it's a purposeful choice. It's a director. People like Christopher Nolan now, who has taken the the mantle of most unintelligible dialogue from a director. Tenet, did you see Tenet? There's a lot of times in that movie where you can't understand what they're saying. And he says, I'm doing it on purpose. He says, that's how it is in life. And sometimes you don't hear what people are saying. The Dark Knight movie, same thing. And sound designers, apparently, according to this article, aren't thrilled with it. Ben Pearson interviews a bunch of sound designers, some of them anonymous because some of them wouldn't even talk to him, saying, I don't want to ruin my reputation. I'm not going to talk about this. Sometimes because characters wear a mask, like in The Dark Knight Rises, Bane. Hello, brother. He's talking through a mask. And so you can't understand some of what he's saying. I understand that. So that's a creative choice. Some of it's the acting. Started with Marlon Brando and method acting, where they wouldn't, actors in the old days didn't even talk like normal people. They not only enunciated, they used a phony British accent. You watch these old movies, and it's like, what the heck? Where are they from? Well, Bakersfield. But they sound like they're from the United Kingdom. So that's another thing. And today, of course, the method is completely taken over. I just saw Kristen Stewart's new movie, Spencer. She plays Diana Spencer. And she's whispering throughout the whole movie. She's talking like this. I thought that's an interesting choice, but, it's hard to understand what you're saying. How many of you, even young people, now we watch with the subtitles on? In fact, it's one reason the movies makers should hate this, because that means you're not going to go see it in the movies because you can't understand it in the theater. You're going to stay home and watch it on TV where you could turn on the subtitles. That's bad for movie business. Christopher Nolan, I'm looking at you. But some of it's just the actors. They quote a sound designer who's worked on Gladiator and Skyfall and other movies like that. And she says, mumbling, breathy. I call it a self-conscious type of acting. It's so frustrating. See, she's got to record this and then make it audible. I would say a lot of younger actors have adopted that style. I think the onus also falls on directors to say, I can't understand a word you're saying. I'm listening to the dailies and I can't understand it. She says, no amount of volume is going to fix that. You can turn it up all you want. You can clean it up all you want, and you can't understand it. So it's frustrating, I think, for the sound recordists in the motion picture set or the TV show set, because they know it's coming across bad. They don't want to stop shooting because they can't hear it, but they should. That's another reason, Pearson says, sound people have to speak up. And then there's also just a pure technology problem. And I think some of this, and I've attributed it in the past to 5.1 and 7.1 and Atmos surround sound mixes, where they don't give enough oomph to the center channel because there's so much else going on. In a movie theater, maybe the center channel is appropriately amplified so you can hear it clearly, but at home, maybe not. In fact, if you're not listening on a well-tuned 7.1 system, yeah. So what I do often is I turn up the center channel. If you have one of those systems where you have a channel just for dialogue, that's the center channel, turning that up sometimes helps. Sometimes helps. Anyway, there's a lot of reasons. And also they're mixing sometimes for the movie theater, not for the home. So there's a lot of reasons this is a problem. He goes on, so how do we fix this, he says? Well, maybe movie makers need to pay attention. Maybe, because there's nothing we can do as viewers, except, just technologically turn up the sound or turn up the center channel or turn on the subtitles. Closed captioning works. Maybe that's I find myself, my wife and I both turning on the subtitles because I'll say, sometimes it's just an accent, In Spencer, the movie about the Princess of Wales, like a lot of strong accents. So, turn it on the closed captioning. Maybe you can understand those British accents a little better. But don't feel like it's you. I guess that's the point. That's always my motto. It's not your fault. When this technology stuff doesn't work, it ain't your fault. It ain't our faults. We're not misusing it most of the time. Well, sometimes we are. Most of the time, it's the fault of the people who make this stuff It's up to them. It's the onus, the burden is on them so that we normal people can use it. So come on, film industry. You want us to come to theaters, right? Maybe that's why they're doing it. Maybe they're just saying, yeah, we'll mix it so it sounds terrible at home so that you have to come to a theater. I hope they're not doing that. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number, 888-827-5536. I've mentioned this before. My favorite feature of Apple TV, might be the only reason to get an Apple TV. You press the Siri button and you say, what did she just say? And it's so great. I use it all the time. Skips back 30 seconds, turns on the subtitles just for the next 30 seconds, replays it, in other words, with subtitles on, and then goes back to normal. Now, that is a nice feature. What did he just say? I hope you can understand what I'm saying. I shall speak like a thespian from now on. Communication is such a nice what?
I don't know, but it's a good thing if you have it.
Kim Schaffer is our operator. Communication is such a nice...
It's key.
thing. Hi, Kim.
Hi. Oh, hola, actually.
Hola. Hola.
You were speaking Spanish.
I was
during
listening
the
to the Babbel ad and blaming myself because I have Babbel, and before we went to Mexico, I was supposed to study my Spanish, and I just kept putting it off. And by the time I got to Mexico, I had to say, hable inglesi.
You just needed a couple keywords. Donde está el baño?
Yeah, I knew that.
Una más cerveza, por favor.
Yeah, the most important
There's
ones.
not very many things that you actually have to say.
Key phrases. You're very good.
I am very good at the key phrases.
We'll call it Kimball. Forget Babbel. We got Kimball. So who should I start the show with today?
Let's go to Jamie in Hollywood. He wants a camera, and so do I. So
he wants a camera, and so do I. That's going to be the name of the show. Thank you, Kim. Hi, Jamie. Welcome to the Tech Guy. Good to see you.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Pleasure to speak to you.
Thank you.
Doing great.
So you want a camera, huh?
Well, a particular camera in this day and age with crime and all sorts of weirdness going on. I was thinking,
you want a security camera?
Yeah, for my car. And
in your car. Well, we're narrowing it down here.
Yeah, one that they have tri-cameras now. Some of them are by Sony, and I wanted a name brand if possible. I'm seeing like Van True and a bunch of other names, but I'm seeing these ones that have like a rear camera.
Yeah.
One that sees in the cabin and one that sees up front, like a tri-camera. And it also has like protection while your car is parked as well.
So more and more you're going to see this built into cars. Cars like Tesla have these cameras all around. In fact, it is the law, I think. I'll have to ask Sam, our car guy's coming up, that you have to have a backup camera now in modern vehicles. So cameras, they're cheap. They're easy to add. So do you want to put this camera on your dash? Is that the main thing?
Yeah. One that maybe is by the rear view mirror that can see in the cabin, out front, and one in the back.
One front and back, yeah.
Yeah.
The easiest, of course, with a dash cam is to have up front and then driver. That third camera, and then you'd have to add another lens maybe on your rear license plate or something like that. So I used to have one, and they went out of business, and then somebody bought them, and they kind of went back, called the Owly. But it's really nice to have a camera like this. I was
about to buy the Owl camera. I was actually in the process of buying it, and I read an article that they went out of business, and they showed an office that was empty, and it was...
Yeah, but that was last year, and then they got bought, and the company that bought them brought it back. So the Owl cam is... Is that right? And I just don't know, I don't know how it is under the new owner. But I liked it. It was it had a lot of nice features.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Great concept, yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like they've decided to kind of keep it going. The Owl Cam has a lot of nice features. For instance, if somebody breaks in your car, it'll hear the glass break, record it, and transmit it immediately. So even if they stole the camera, you'd have a video of them stealing the camera.
Right. Yeah.
Smart enough. You say it's a little funny. You can have it record. So here's the thing. You don't want something. Well, you could. Some cameras record all the time in a loop. So maybe they have a few hours or a few days of recording, and then they loop over it. The Owl Cam had this additional feature, which I thought was kind of nice. It had LTE built in, so it could upload over the cell network. And so you could
cell service.
Yeah, you could say, okay, presto, which was the magic word for it, and it would send the last 30 seconds up to the cloud. It also, if it detected a crash or glass break or whatever, it would do that. It has also built in the ability to record 2 weeks built in. So it's got a lot of... So, yeah, I like the Owl. It was a little expensive. It does look like now the company that purchased it has decided to go all in. The other thing I liked about the Owl is it doesn't look like there's... I don't know if they're still doing this. At the time, it was powered by the OBD2 port, which is a port on all modern vehicles, which is normally used for diagnostics, but does have power on it, which made it very easy to power. You just run a wire from it to the car's OBD2 port, which is right under the steering wheel, and you've got it powered.
Right.
So that solved a lot of problems. Next best, a lot of people are recommending the Garmin. Garmin, which is a company that made, you may remember, GPS systems, which now are completely obsolete thanks to the smartphone, quickly had to find other areas to go into. They started making smartwatches for runners, and that they also make dash cams. And every reviewer I've ever seen loves the Garmin dash cam. So that's another, and the Mini is fairly inexpensive. I think it's around $100. Let me ask, Sam's already here for his segment. Let me ask Sam if he has a recommendation.
Great.
Dash cams, Sam.
Unfortunately, I don't have a recommendation. I haven't really used any, but a couple things to note looking at the chat. Most of these are powered, off the 12-volt line somewhere in the car. And so one thing you want to make sure, if you want to use it as a security cam, you need to make sure you find an outlet that is not switched by ignition.
Right.
So that, otherwise when you turn the car off, it loses power.
That was one nice thing about the Owl is that it uses the OBD2 port, so it was powered.
Well, except that the OBD2 port is usually switched off with the ignition. So when you switch off the car, it's not, I don't think I don't know how they did it, but they were drawing it with the car off. You'd have to tap into a 12-volt line somewhere
I did not.
near the OBD.
I'm just going to say how it worked for me, Sam. I did not, and it would record. So they may have some trick they're using. I don't know what it is, but that's the whole point is that even when you'd park the car, it would continue to record if somebody tried to break in. So maybe it had its own, it's possible it has its own battery built into it, and maybe it charges up or something like that.
I don't remember. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah. But it did definitely
have one here somewhere.
Yeah. I still have mine. I haven't hooked it up again now that they're back online. That's the negative, of course. You're going to pay a subscription because somebody's got to pay for the bandwidth.
It could be worth it.
I'm a fan. I can't say anything against it. I thought it was great. I was very sad when they went out of business. Partly was because it was so expensive.
Right.
Compared to the Garmin's $120 or something, and the Owl is 3 times that. Or no, it's $200 for the Classic 4, and then they have something called the Classic 5, which is $269. I'm not sure what you get. They also sell multiple camera packs. So, but then the thing to keep in mind is it's $20 a month to connect. So that's an additional cost.
Another thing to keep in mind as well is if it's powered off the car, it is going to put some drain on your battery.
Yeah, and the Owl says we're smart and we don't do that. So this is again something to investigate how they're doing that. Sam's coming up. We'll have more. In fact, we're going to talk about Android Auto. What? Oh, you're welcome. Great to talk to you.
Appreciate you.
Take care. You too, Jamie. Bye-bye. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah. Pin 16 on the OBD2 port is power. So I guess there's a way to.
Well, it's a power line, but on most vehicles I've used, when you switch off the ignition, the power to the OBD2 port is shut off. So it's only powered when the car is on. Did you check your original audio, by the way? Yeah, it's on original audio.
Oh, you're crunchy still. I don't know why.
Let's see. Is that any better?
Yeah, maybe you're just peeking. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know how. The other thing the Owl did that was great is this actually drives Lisa crazy. You can talk to somebody in the car through it.
Yeah.
It says OBD2 power connection on guard even when the vehicle is turned off. So I think there is Scooter X is saying that line 16 is always on. So it may be that
it could be.
It says it's connected to the 12 volts. So there's some way they're doing that. I really like the Owl. You know what I'm going to do is pull it back out of out of the closet and maybe reinstall it because I really liked it. I never ran into anybody or saw anything or had any occasion to use it, but it was nice to have. Yeah, I thought the owl always stayed on, yeah. Previously, they charged for streaming. That's right. Now it's unlimited, but you're paying $20 a month. That's why you have the monthly Connect plan. So what's the difference between the Classic 4 and the Classic 5? That's the question. Our show today brought to you by Udacity. Oh, yeah, I love Udacity. Udacity is the place to get an online education geared toward you or anyone looking to take your tech knowledge to the next level, especially if you're looking for a job in big tech. Because this Udacity was effectively started by big tech, a guy named Sebastian Thrun more than 10 years ago, worked at Google, and realized that just the people they were getting as applicants didn't have the skills they needed, even if they came from a 4-year degree. So he started the nano degree program at Udacity, and it's grown. The Udacity has specialized in exciting content that can help either take you further in the career you want or get you that first job, and they offer the latest cutting-edge nano degree programs, and you just can't find these anywhere else. They're really all about encouraging your career growth. Udacity will give you the information you need about the career you want. It'll give you the skills for that career. It'll help you get the job even. There's some great references from happy Udacity learners on the website. I'll give you one from a Udacity graduate. He was working at a Nigerian airline. Like a lot of airlines, they had to lay off a lot of people during COVID-19. He said, maybe I should get some skills to get a better job. So he applied for a machine learning scholarship program for Microsoft Azure, got the scholarship. Within 6 months, transitioned to a career. He's got a great job as a data analyst. And, he doesn't have to worry about COVID-19. Check out one of Udacity's top 5 nano degree programs. Data engineering, that's one of them. Product manager, that's a good job too. That's a great job. If you don't want to be coding, but you want to kind of help the coding team get the job done, product manager. Data analyst, like our friend from Nigeria, or data scientist, that's hot right now. Programming for data science with Python. In fact, the Python courses are great there. I've taken their Python courses. If you're looking to get the most cutting-edge technology careers, they've got nano degree programs in artificial intelligence, flying cars, and autonomous flight engineer. That would be really cool, wouldn't it? Machine learning engineer, and a whole lot more. Because these courses at Udacity are created with partners and industry leaders like Microsoft and Google and IBM and Amazon, you're getting your teachers, your instructors are team leaders from these top companies, learning the skills these top companies need to get a great job there. You're going to get the right knowledge from experts who are working in the field every day. All of Udacity's courses are project-based. I think this is really important for 2 reasons. One, you don't really know something until you have to do it yourself with a project. That's really how you lock in that learning. 2, those projects now go on your resume, in effect. You put them up on, let's say, on GitHub, and it's a link on your LinkedIn. Now this is the kind of thing employers look at. Well, what have you done? And so it's great to have those under your belt. It's also active learning, and I think that's the best kind. Your homework, your projects will all be reviewed by professionals, just like code reviews you would get if you were working at Google or Microsoft or IBM. You'll get real human feedback. You also get access to mentors 24/7, and that's a big deal because it's inevitable. I've done it. Everybody's done it. You hit a wall at some point. You go, I just don't know what's wrong. But those mentors are great. They can help you over that hump and on to the next big thing. And, of course, the schedule is completely flexible because a lot of Udacity learners have day jobs. You can, work whenever is right for you, and you don't have to put in a huge amount of time, 5 to 10 hours a week. You can graduate in 3 months. So I think it's really worthwhile. I'll give you another example. These scholarships are great. You can find them on Udacity.com. At the bottom, select scholarships under resources. 110, here's one of them. 110 Blacks in Technology and Udacity have teamed up to offer part-time online tech scholarships for Black Americans who do not have a 4-year degree. So you're a high school graduate or you're in, year 2 of college, you don't have a degree yet, but you really got the motivation, you want to get that job. They are offering 2,000 full scholarships full scholarships for qualifying applicants. You can find out more at Udacity.com. And if you're a business, you can upskill your entire workforce with Udacity. Check out the enterprise section of Udacity's website today to learn more. Bottom line, get the in-demand tech skills you need to advance your career. Visit Udacity, Udacity, udacity.com/twit to learn more. And please do use that udacity.com/twit. That way they know you saw it on the Tech Guy Show, and I get a little pat on the head. Udacity.com/twit. And now back to the program, already in progress. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Time for Sam Abuelsamid, our car guy, principal researcher at Guidehouse Insights. He does the Wheel Bearings car podcast at wheelbearings.media. Joins us every week to talk cars. Hello, Sam.
Hello, Leo. How are you this week?
I'm good. The chat room, iTech in the chat room says he loves his Blackview, BLACKVUE.com dash cam. So there's another brand to put in there. So today I see you're sitting in front of, what is that, Android Auto? What is that in front of you?
It's Android Automotive, which is different. You know, it's a great example of Google's brilliance in branding.
You're being sarcastic, aren't you?
Just a little, yes. So Google has Android Auto, and they have Android Automotive, which is something mostly completely different. And so let me give you a quick primer on what Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are to begin with. So both of those systems function pretty much the same way, and the way you can think of them is essentially as a driver layer that's running on your infotainment system that translates commands from whatever control interface you have, whether it's a touchscreen or a center controller or voice, whatever it might be. They take whatever that vehicle is set up for, translate it into a common set of commands that the phone can understand, you know, that either an iPhone or an Android phone can understand. And then the phone streams back video back to the screen. So your apps that are running, you know, whether it's Google Maps or Apple Maps or Pocket Casts or Overcast, you know, whatever you're listening to or watching, that video gets streamed from your phone back to the screen. And your phone has to be there for these systems to work. So everything is running on the phone. Now, Android Automotive is something entirely different that Google launched a few years ago. They announced it in 2017, and it started coming to market last year. The first vehicles to get it were from Volvo and Polestar. The Volvo XC40 and the Polestar 2 were the first ones to have it. Stellantis, Chrysler, Jeep, etc. have it on their Uconnect 5 system as well. And what this is actually a version of Android that is optimized to run on the vehicle. So it actually runs in your infotainment computer. And it's a full-blown version of Android that, like with phones, you know, it's open source, so you can run just the base OS, which is what Stellantis does, and then you can put your own apps on it. You know, kind of like what Android or what Amazon does with their Fire tablets. They run Android and put their own voice assistant. They put Alexa voice services on there and their own app store and things like that. Or you can get Google Automotive Services, which is analogous to Google Mobile Services for the phone, which is all of Google's proprietary apps like Gmail and Google Assistant and Google Maps, and run that directly on the infotainment system. So last week I got a 2022 Chevrolet Tahoe that had this system in there. They've just switched over from a previous system that was based on Linux, and when you start up the car for the first time, you can tap on the Android Automotive, or actually on the Play Store. There's a Play Store icon in the car. You tap on that. It says log in. You can log in to your Google account the same way you would on an Android phone when you're first setting it up for the first time. And now you have access to all of your apps that you have bought on your Android phone, assuming you're using an Android phone. Or if you're an iPhone user, you can still get access to the Google Play Store. You can use Google Assistant. You can use Google Maps for navigation.
Here's the problem I have with all this. Android Auto does all of that as well. but it's attached to your phone. So when you get a new phone, you automatically get an upgrade. This is built into your car. So it's really going to be hampered. 5 years from now, that car is not going to be nearly as powerful as a current smartphone.
Not necessarily. Because they're going to Google is updating Android Automotive, just as they update Android for the phones, and all of these cars, all these vehicles have over-the-air software updates. So they
But
will
are they
be getting
building in
updates.
good hardware? Are they building in? Look, this is a Google Tensor chip in this Pixel 6. That's not anything like what that car system has.
Well, it's not like what car systems used to have. Car systems used to be powered and use very underpowered processors.
Right.
That's no longer the case. The new GM stuff, for example, is using the latest Qualcomm Snapdragon chips, 8 series Snapdragon chips
interesting.
that power the infotainment system.
Okay.
And
What happens
I'm
if
not
I
sure
want to
what
use
Volvo's using.
CarPlay on an Android Auto?
So
Automotive,
at least
I'm
on
sorry.
the GM vehicles,
Yeah.
they still support CarPlay, so you can plug in a phone,
Overlaid on top
plug in
of
an
it.
iPhone,
Okay.
and it just opens up the CarPlay interface, just
So
as it would on any other system.
Modern cars always have an operating system. Ford used to use Microsoft. Now I think they probably use BlackBerry's QNX.
They use QNX today.
Yeah, a lot of systems use this operating system from BlackBerry. This is competitive with this, right? The Android Automotive is the replacement for Microsoft Car or Android Automotive or QNX.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. So it really is. It's not so much about the user interface as about, from the automaker's point of view, what this operating system can do, or no.
Both. So every automaker is putting their own spin on it, much as most Android phone manufacturers put their own spin on it. Amazon's got Samsung's got their launcher.
Here's the real question
from Pixel.
Whose privacy agreement are you agreeing to? Your car manufacturers or Google's? Because Google collects a ton of information. So really, you're sending all of the automotive information, things like your speed, your fuel mix, everything is getting sent to Google as well as to your manufacturer.
Well, if you're using either an iPhone or an Android phone with CarPlay or Android Auto, you're already doing that anyway.
Well, that's the question, because I remember
they're collecting it through your phone.
Yeah, I remember an interview with a guy who worked at Porsche talking about the difference. He says Android Auto collects a ton more than CarPlay does. Apple only collects one little bit of information. I can't remember what it was, your speed maybe. But Google collects everything it can. Now, this is the problem, is that these agreements, are probably buried somewhere in the fine print deep. But I think it's reasonable to be a little concerned about the privacy aspect of Android Automotive compared to, say, CarPlay.
Well, as I said, CarPlay, even with CarPlay, they're not. Apple's not collecting vehicle information, but they still have information that they can get from your phone. So, your phone knows how fast you're moving, even if it's not reading the vehicle speed from the car itself. The GPS information, the accelerometers in your phone know how fast that phone is moving through space.
Right.
So they still know your location. Certainly your carrier knows your location. They know your speed when you're moving, how fast you're moving. So they're still able to get most of the same data, whether it's running in the infotainment system or on your phone.
I'm going to give you an assignment. Okay. I want you to go find out, and it is probably hard to find out, how much data Apple collects, whether it's CarPlay on your phone
Apple
or whatever.
Won't tell you.
Yeah, and how much data. Well, I think Apple does tell you, in fact, and how much data Google collects, because it's my understanding that it is a significant difference, and that Apple, in fact, is careful about intentionally, because that's their selling point, about what they collect from CarPlay. So, maybe people. I don't know if people care if Google knows everything about your location and driving history and all that, but if you've got Google in your car, you're not going to have a way to opt out of that.
Probably not.
Yeah. Just something to be aware of. Sam
But on the other hand, you do have Google Assistant for your voice control, which is way better than any traditional voice recognition systems.
I agree. And I sometimes use Android Auto for that entirely. It's certainly, it's a lot better than Siri. Sam Abuelsamid, principal researcher at Guidehouse Insights. He's also a podcast host at wheelbearings.media, and he joins us every week. Thanks, Sam.
You're welcome, Leo.
Yeah, I'm trying to find this article. So as a Porsche engineer...
Yeah, no, I know what Porsche has said in the past, and one of the reasons why that they were initially reluctant to implement Android Auto in their vehicles. And I'm sure that Google probably is collecting more information than Apple is, but that doesn't mean that there isn't information still being shared from your phone through CarPlay, or when you're using CarPlay.
Google collects vehicle speed, oil and coolant temperature, throttle position, engine revs, essentially a full OBD2 port dump over Android Auto. And I presume Android Automotive will be doing the same thing.
And frankly, I have no problem with them getting that information.
No, I agree.
If they can,
I don't care
use that
either.
Information to train a diagnostic system
right.
that can help to say, okay, give me predictive diagnostics of when I might need service. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. No, I don't care either.
And the
but
automakers are collecting that information as well.
Yeah, I understand. And I agree, because I use Android Auto sometimes, and I know that they're collecting that information. But some people may care, and if it's built into the car as Android Automotive, you're not going to have a choice.
That's true. Well, except that the automaker is already collecting that data anyway, and you don't have a choice.
Yeah, that's true. I know. I mean, Tesla, I was shocked.
I mean, you do have a choice in that you can opt out of the connectivity entirely. Right. So if you turn off connectivity entirely, then the automaker doesn't. Nobody has access to that data.
Right. And the reason Google wants it, and Apple would probably want it, is for self-driving vehicles, because this is all research from their point of view. And so in a way, you're helping that self-driving vehicle project. I'm trying to find what CarPlay collects. As I remember, it was a very small amount of information. I think it was only one item. So I think that's for some of our listeners, that's a big deal.
Yeah. No, and that's certainly a legitimate concern. And if that's a concern for you, then you should probably avoid buying anything from GM or Volvo or Ford or Nissan or
they're
Renault.
All collecting it now. Yeah.
And don't connect your phone to your car.
Right.
No matter what kind of phone you use. Turn off your connectivity. Actually, better yet, don't leave your house. And put up aluminum foil across all your walls in your house. Be like Michael McKean was in the first couple seasons of Better Call Saul.
He was worried about electricity.
Yep.
Yeah. It's something you and I don't care about, but I know our audience cares an awful lot about. So it's just something to be.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I would rather have a useful voice recognition system that when I tell it, navigate to some location, it gets it right the first time, knows where I want to go. If I tell it, reduce the temperature by 3 degrees, it'll reduce the temperature by 3 degrees, and that's what this system does.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure any always on, always connected vehicle like my Mach-E is sending everything back.
Yep. And certainly, Teslas, you don't even really have the option to opt out very much.
Yeah. Oh, man. They know everything.
They depend on that stuff.
Yeah, they know everything. But again, I think it's because they're building a self-driving vehicle, right?
Well, they're trying. They say they are.
Sam, thank you.
All right. You
Have
want me to stick around?
a great day, and I will talk to you next week.
Do you want me to stick around for the top of the hour?
I forgot. You do that. You're very generous. Yes. If you want. Please.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yep.
Well, now I got to give you credit, Professor Laura. There are many Hanukkah songs you could play, but she never wants to go for the obvious. And that is not obvious. Who is that singing that? Woody Guthrie. Happy Hanukkah. Wow. Good job. Professor Laura, extra points for the research. She and that's not easy. She has to go back in the music library, and it's all dusty back there. I think there's skeletons of music directors from years gone by and all sorts of stuff, spider webs. She has to pick the record out and go, blow all the dust off, and bring it in, put it on the turntable just for you. So thank you, Professor Laura, you get a lot of credit for that. Larry's on the line from San Francisco, California. Hi, Larry.
Hello, Leo. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm frustrated and confused trying to configure Windows.
Well, welcome to the club.
Well, what's happened is that, we're eventually going to be forced to go to Windows 11. I'm sure we don't have to anytime soon. So,
just to say, I think we know the date is 2025. That's the end of life for Windows 10. So you got a few years, 4 years.
That's a theoretical date, sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I decided to be in a position to update whenever I feel like it. Right now I have a perfectly running Windows 10 system, but it can't update to Windows 11 because from what I understand, you have to have secure boot, and you can't run secure boot on a MBR partition. So you have to have a GPT partition. So I decided this was a chance to start over from fresh anyway. So I bought a brand new hard drive, a brand new SSD, partitioned it into GPT partitions. Then I went and got a fresh edition of Windows, like downloaded the Media Maker from Windows itself, Microsoft itself, went to install it, and I get the message, Windows cannot install to this partition because it's in GPT mode. I'm like, what? So I went online to ask advice, and I was told you need to make your install media, the USB drive, GPT as well, so use Rufus. So I used Rufus, reformatted my install USB, put Windows back on it, tried to install, and then I get the message that Windows cannot make or see a partition. I'd gone in and changed my boot sequence, my boot configuration to UEI only, did everything I could that seemed to do, and Windows just won't install. It either can't see a GPT partition or it can't install to a GPT partition.
So one of the things Microsoft did with Windows 11 is they set the bar higher than they actually even technically needed to install Windows 11. They said you have to have a TPM 2.0 module, for instance. I presume you have that. Is that right? Okay.
Yes.
They said, there's a number of things. You have to have a processor that's Intel 8th generation or later. And none of this is technically required. This is important. It is not required by the operating system. It's merely a standard Microsoft has set. Probably for good reason. They want to kind of encourage people to get modern and theoretically more secure computers. Security is a big issue in the Windows world. It's a massive issue. Just look at all the ransomware problems. So Microsoft's doing what it can. It sounds like they're also requiring UEFI, which means, you have to do a secure boot. They're also, it sounds like and I'm not up on this, requiring as a result GPT, which is there's two ways you can format a hard drive, master boot record or GPT. The old way was master boot record. That's the old drive. How old is your computer?
Well, this computer, it's maybe a year old. I built it myself. So
so that's but a fairly modern motherboard. That's the most important thing. Okay, so a year-old motherboard, it should support everything on Windows 11. It shouldn't be a problem. You backed up the data on the thing, right?
Yes, good old iDrive.
So good, thank you, iDrive, our sponsor. So once again, I think the best thing to do is to kind of back up all the way. So go into your BIOS and reset it. There's a command to reset it to factory defaults. And do that. That'll turn on secure boot. It'll make sure everything is set up as the motherboard intended when it was first shipped to you. And then when you boot up into the now correctly set up Rufus USB key, use that installer to partition, so departition and repartition the drive, the internal drive, and format it. Just let it do it kind of automatically. It's in the options where you can use the partition manager. So that way, Windows 11 is setting up the drive. It's using the default BIOS. Have you done this and it's failed?
Well, I'm not trying to install Windows 11. I'm trying to reinstall Windows 10 on a GPT partition so that when I have, because that's the only thing that's standing in the way of my being able to automatically update.
Okay, so you don't need the automatic update. I understand you want to do that. I would stick with, well, now you've screwed up your machine, so you
No.
right? Now you're desperate. No, you haven't? Okay.
No, this is a separate hard drive.
So if you can keep using Windows 10, I would do that. When you want to go to Windows 11, do what I just suggested. Download a Windows 11 ISO.
I see. Okay.
And reset your machine.
Okay.
That way, it's always the better way to upgrade anyway. It's what, a clean install, a nuke from space install where you're not installing on top of an existing operating system. That's where you get into weird compatibility issues. Why did you install with master boot record? Just out of curiosity. Because Windows 10 even wants GPT.
Well, this is an old, what I've done.
Oh, it was an old hard drive.
Yeah, well, it's an old hard drive. It's old. I just cloned the drive from a regular spinning drive onto an SSD.
So again, this is the reason why a clean is better.
Well, that's what I was trying to do.
It's always hard when you're going from legacy, some old system, to a modern one.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do. I got a brand new hard drive. And install.
So use root. Did you download Windows 11 on the USB key?
No, Windows 10.
So here's what you want to do. You can get it right now. A Windows 11 ISO.
Right.
And just do that on a Windows 11 ISO. And I think, especially if you're partitioning with Windows 11, and you've reset your BIOS to defaults, it should just work.
Okay. All right. When I'm ready to go 11, I'll do that then.
Yeah. Historically, always problematic. This is where people always get in trouble when they I want to take the old thing, but I want to upgrade it to the new thing. And that's when things get a little odd. And I think that's what happened. That's all.
Yeah, there's no hurry for this anyway.
Yeah. Like I said, Microsoft has guaranteed 2025 that Windows 10 will run fine until 2025. And there's nothing... Yeah, I mean, they could. You're absolutely right. Who trusts them? But so they could at some point say, "Oh, we changed our mind. We want everybody to use Windows 11." But I don't think they'll do that. Historically, that's not the kind of thing Microsoft does. So you're guaranteed 2020 till 2025, probably January 2025. You'll be able to use Windows 10. You'll get updates. It'll be just like Windows 11 didn't exist. And you know what? Maybe in 4 years, Windows 11 will be ready for prime time.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it'll be up. Maybe it'll actually work by then.
Hopefully.
I'm getting so fed up with Microsoft. I really am. They released this prematurely. It wasn't a major upgrade. All it did was a cosmetic upgrade. They did it purely for market reasons, so people would buy new computers. Because, by the way, what you just described is why people don't upgrade Windows. They buy a new computer. That's historically how people get Windows, the next version of Windows. They don't upgrade it. They buy a new one. Only we enthusiasts go through this nightmare.
Well, I was trying to keep from having to reinstall everything.
Yeah. Believe me, I understand. I'd do the same thing. I understand completely. But this, and of course the other thing is really grinding my gears is Microsoft is messing with Edge. They're making it very hard not to use their own browser. If you want to install Firefox or Chrome, you got to jump through massive hoops. And then their own browser is getting bloated beyond recognition. They just built in a feature to do buy now, pay later, built into the browser. I'm pretty much done. I have to say, I'm done, Microsoft. Now it's time for the Sam Abuelsamid show. Now, let me put you in a window here and give you a tamakalaka. There you go. Don't need the gizwiz in the background. How about that? That's excellent. I'm a trained professional. I'm going to go make a cup of coffee. You get to talk cars. Thank you, Sam.
All right. So to continue on a little bit with the Android Auto discussion, or the Android Automotive discussion, I really hate that Google didn't come up with different branding, more distinct branding for the two. So one of the advantages with automotive that I don't think I emphasized enough is that, in addition to it running in the car, it's not running on your phone. It's also because you have access to or at least on some applications, if the manufacturer decides to use Google Automotive Services, you have access to the Google Play Store. So you can download apps directly into the car. So things like Pocket Casts, Hoopla, and Libby for your public libraries to download audiobooks, NPR, all these apps, these Android apps that you can use with Android Auto. You can also download them directly into the head unit of your car. So they're running on your car. So your phone doesn't even have to be with you, or if the phone's dead, whatever it might be, it's running directly on there. And that is very convenient. Because you don't have to worry about if, like a couple weeks ago, Jeff Jarvis wrote into All About Android. He was complaining about using Android Auto in his Mazda, and he was having problems. It kept disconnecting. You'll never have that problem when it's running right on the head unit. That said, the issue of data collection and what data do they have access to is it's a legit issue, and there are some people who are very concerned about that, and that's it's fine. If you are concerned about it, I don't blame you. There's certainly a lot of information being collected about us every day. Somebody did drop into Scooter X dropped into the chat earlier a page from the Apple Human Interface Guidelines on car data with CarPlay, and essentially CarPlay compatible apps do have access to climate control information, radio information, speed, and GPS location that they can utilize for the apps that are being projected back to your screen. So there's a fair bit of information that they're getting as well. How much of that is also going back to Apple, or in Google's case to Google, is unknown. I don't think, I'm pretty sure that Google is not grabbing all of this data continuously and streaming it back to their servers, because first of all, the cost of that, the bandwidth costs of that would just be enormous. Nobody is constantly collecting information and streaming it back to home base. Not even Tesla is streaming data continuously back to their servers, because the bandwidth costs would just get out of hand really quickly. But they're looking for specific events, and occasionally sending back some information, doing some event-based triggering to send back information. One interesting detail with CarPlay and Android Auto, when you're using the smartphone projection, is both of them are using the GPS data from the car rather than the GPS data from your phone for navigation purposes. And that's because your car, first of all, the GPS antenna is usually mounted somewhere on the roof and has better line of sight to the sky than your phone does when it's sitting, in the console or in your pocket or wherever it might be. And it's a better antenna usually that's on the car, so you usually have a better signal. So all the smartphone projection systems will utilize the GPS signal provided by the car for navigation instead of the internal phone's GPS, unless that signal is not available from the car. The other thing, I mentioned Stellantis, Chrysler and Jeep and the various brands under the Stellantis umbrella. The Uconnect 5 system that debuted last year also runs Android Automotive, but they are not using Google Automotive Services. So instead of using Google Maps, Stellantis is using TomTom for navigation. They're using Amazon's Alexa voice services for the digital assistant, and using various other services to replace what would be provided by Google. And I think part of the reason is they wanted something distinct, and also as with phones, Google does charge a licensing fee for use of just as they do this for Google mobile services for phone manufacturers, and they do it for automakers for Google Automotive Services. So the operating system itself, Android, whether it's Android for phones or Android Automotive, is free to use from the Apple or the Android open source project, but it's the services that they're generating revenue on. Some other stuff that was in the chat, but what happens when LTE is deprecated? And this is also a very good question. Manufacturers automakers have been using connectivity going back 25 years now to when the original GM OnStar system debuted. And they, a couple of times now, as we've gone from analog to 2G and then to 3G, vehicles that have connectivity in them have lost that ability to be connected when the previous generation systems were shut off. And that's starting to happen now with some cars that have 3G connectivity in there. As networks start to shut down 3G, they're being shut off. And at some point, LTE is probably going to be shut off, although it's probably quite a few years away yet before they turn off LTE networks. But what manufacturers are doing now is they are actually starting to design the vehicles. They know that this is something that is going to happen, and they're designing with upgradability in mind. So a number of manufacturers, including Nissan, on some of their models, offer an option for customers to get the 3G radio replaced with an LTE radio, and eventually it'll be with a 5G radio. So that's that. By the time we see LTE going away, the vehicles that have LTE currently will likely be able to be upgraded to 5G or 6G or something at that point down the road. Predictive maintenance, which I mentioned earlier, is not something that's currently advertised for Android Automotive, but it is something that I can see Google potentially wanting to offer as a feature at some point in the future. And that may be one of the reasons why they want to see some of this data so they can build maintenance models and diagnostic models for the vehicle to augment what the manufacturers are doing. There was also a question earlier about catalytic converter guards. Theft of catalytic converters is a very common problem in many locations. I know just the other day I saw somebody posted online here in this area their catalytic converter was stolen from their car in their driveway.
Wow, is that because the materials in it are so valuable? Or is it the converter itself?
They have a bunch of platinum in there, and they could extract the platinum, but it's more so stealing them from cars and then putting them in as replacement parts. Cars need to be serviced, and you can get a used one for quite a bit less than a brand new one.
Hey Sam, thank you so much. Always appreciate it. You give me a chance to get a cup of coffee. You have a great week too.
I'll talk to you next Sunday.
I'll see you next week. Woohoo! It's I'm trying out new greetings. Hey, that's okay, but maybe ahoy hoy. It's me, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Time to talk tech. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, well, we could still talk. But you're going to have to use Skype or something like that to call. Shouldn't cost you anything. 8888 Ask Leo. Website, techguylabs.com. Believe it or not, hello, the word hello has been around for some time, but was not commonly used for greetings until the phone came out. There was always, people were saying, hello, holla, ho, hello, whoa there, hey. In addition, I'm reading from Wikipedia to hello, hallo, hollow, and hillo exist as variants. The problem was when the telephone came out, there was no agreement on what you say when you pick it up. In Italy, you say pronto, right? Every country has a different thing they say. It wasn't obvious immediately what we should say. Thomas Edison was the guy who said it should be hello. Alexander Graham Bell, the guy who invented the phone, originally wanted to use ahoy. Ahoy hoy. By the way, if you watch The Simpsons and you're wondering why C. Montgomery Burns answers the phone that way, because he's old enough to remember the invention of the telephone, I think, and he maybe is an Alexander Graham Bell supporter, and that's what Bell wanted it to be. Ahoy hoy. In 1877, Thomas Edison wrote to the president of the Central District and Printing Telegraph Company of Pittsburgh, "Friend David," this is a quote, "I do not think we shall need a call bell, as hello can be heard 10 to 20 feet away. What do you think, Edison?" Could have been hello, but for some reason they decided hello. Holler. In other languages, they have different words. Hello is not universal, and we didn't even know, frankly, what we were going to answer, how we were going to answer the phone until somehow it was agreed that Edison was right and Alexander Graham Bell was wrong. So maybe I should start the show with ahoy hoy. Ahoy hoy. How do they answer the phone in your country?
Bueno.
Bueno is in Mexico you say bueno?
Bueno, yeah.
Bueno. Italy, I know it's pronto. Bueno means good, right? So you answer the phone, you say good.
Sort of.
That makes no sense. That makes no sense at all. Good. Bueno. How do they answer the phone in Russia? In Russia, phone answers you. I don't know. I think it's intriguing. In France, do they say bonjour? I don't know. But hello. Hello, Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. But let's go back to the phones. Say hello to Ray in Beaumont, California. Hello, Ray.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Pretty good. I kind of get a chuckle when you were first talking about the sound in movies because I actually work for Warner Brothers in post-production sound, and I can relate with how the audio is pretty bad today.
So that's okay. Good. Now we got an expert. So this is, I mean, I get this call all the time. Why can't I hear dialogue on my TV set? And I often say, well, just turn up the center's channel. But is it something else?
Well, you know, when we used to mix on the stages, you know, obviously when we're mixing on the stage, we mix on the big speakers, you know, so that's just how the mixers liked it. And then when we do playback for television, we would play back on what they call the smalls. So
yeah.
Small speakers. So
like a little Aurotone mix speaker. And yeah.
So we can see how it sounds coming out of the, you know, for the viewers at home on their TV set. And time again, I'd come home and I'd watch the show. One particular series I was working on, One Tree Hill, ran for about 9 seasons on WB. And I'd come home and watch it, and I go, wait a minute, that's not her mix.
Oh, wow.
So we started doing some research, and when you send it to the networks, they would do something on their end to change what we mix to with the way they broadcasted it. So it was kind of frustrating in a way because, and, you know, again, a lot of it has to do with, you know, the actors, too. You get a lot of actors who kind of whisper, you know, when they're doing their dialogue and stuff. And your production sound mixers out there are trying to get the sound as best as they can. But
the recordist is supposed to say, and I imagine it's hard if you're on a set and they're rushing and they got to shoot, to say, can we do that again? I couldn't hear her.
Yeah, and you know what? They rush so fast on the sets, you know, because I used to call the production sound mixer and say, hey, man, what's going on? And they're like, you know what? Because I would ask for room tone, you know, sometimes we have to do ADR and have to redo lines, bring the actors in. They go, we can't.
We don't have time to do room tone?
No. They're
moving. That's it.
So
reset. We're doing it. Yeah, there's no time.
Yeah. You know,
isn't that interesting? Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, I just wanted to kind of throw it out there because, you know, we do our best to get the show mixed, but sometimes it's when it's broadcast, each network has a different way of, you know, sending that signal out. So
the engineers in the studio mess with it too. That's right. Yeah. Room tone, for those who don't know, is just the sound of the room without any speaking or any other noises.
Right.
And because every room has a little bit of a different sound, you get that, then you can add footsteps later because you've got the room tone.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that every shot, whether it's the master, the two shot, the over shoulder, or whatever, is all shot at different times of the day. So the sound changes. So when we're sitting there cutting it together, in fact, dialogue editors are probably they're the unsung heroes because nobody walks out of a movie and goes, wow, that was this great smooth dialogue.
Nowadays, they may walk out saying, I could hear every word.
Yeah.
they might do that. Oh, I'm so glad you called to get an expert opinion on all this, and we won't say who you work for. Well, now you've given yourself away with the One Tree Hill reference. We all know who he is.
Yeah,
but
that's fine.
That's okay. Yeah, no, I think I'm really glad to have read that article and now to hear from you, because we get that call all the time, and it is a little bit puzzling. And I don't want to say my callers are deaf. It isn't that.
Right. Yeah. No, it's strange how with this technology. I mean, but talking about sound, I started back in '95, on Roger Corman movies, and some of that sound was pretty terrible back then. But over the years, it's gotten a lot better with the digital platforms like Pro Tools and stuff like that. Before, when you were doing sound on Mag and on and doing that transition into the new technology, it's getting better and better and better.
Oh,
but
sure.
As it gets better, it seems like okay, well then what are the networks doing? So
right. Right.
So yeah, it just depends on the network.
So you started with Roger Corman. Oh boy.
Yes.
Sometime I want to hear those stories. That's great. Wow, what fun that must have been.
Yeah, that was a good learning experience.
I bet. Yeah. Hey, I'll tell you what, I got to take a break. Hang on, Ray. I want to get your question in. And It's my fault because I used up all your time asking about the movies.
Okay.
But it's great. But just hang on a second. We're going to take a little break, and when we come back, I know you want to talk about online security, and that's an important topic. I don't want to let that go.
Okay.
So, thank you. I appreciate it. It's good to talk to you. See, I wasn't crazy. You're not. That's the main reason I brought it up at the beginning of the show. You're not crazy. It is hard to understand what's the dialogue. Thank goodness for closed captions. Actually, my secret, Ray, is I just wanted to talk to you off the air. Hang on, Ray. Don't go anywhere. Wow, fascinating. So you started as a recordist, and then you moved into the post?
I actually started as a assistant dialogue editor in sound.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, right down the street from Taddeo Seward. Wow. They used to be around. Of course, Taddeo is long gone now.
Yep.
But yeah, I started as assistant sound editor and worked my way up into dialogue editor. And then from there, eventually became a supervising sound editor. Sopranos was a good show that I was.
You worked on Sopranos?
Wow. Yes.
But some of those actors were kind of mumblers. I mean.
Oh yeah. I mean, obviously, a lot of the actors don't like to have to do ADR and redo their lines because it's performance. They don't want to ruin their performance. But I tell you what, I mean, I have improved a lot of actors' performances. When they've had to redo it, and so as long as it's done right, it can turn out good. But
so for those who don't know, ADR is a re-record. It's dubbing, basically re-recording of the sound in a studio after the fact. How much of the dialogue is re-recorded? All of it? Is half of it, or?
Well, it depends. Every show is different. When each show is locked, after they got the picture locked, and I come in there and run the show down with the producers, then we just kind of go through it, and I'll note out, this line.
So you decide. You say, I can't. We need to record that because I couldn't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We either do it because either bad audio or maybe they want to add a line. That's on the back. There's a lot of different ways.
You see that every once in a while. You see a line, and the actor's mouth isn't moving. It's like, I think they're adding that after the fact.
Yeah, true.
I know you try not to do that, but oh, fascinating. And it was mag tape originally. You're recording on reel to reel, and then now it's digital. You use sound devices, things like that, or?
Yeah. They used to use the old Nagra.
Beautiful little Nagra portables. I still kind of want a Nagra just because they're so beautiful. They're so elegant.
Yeah, now it's all digital. It comes to us all digital. So it's just take a file transfer from one hard drive to your assistant editors. They load them up and we start editing. And it's actually getting a little bit more difficult because now they got so many tracks. They got numerous tracks of audio that you got to put together. But
yeah, I remember we went down to watch them shoot Dexter, and the guy's using a sound device, probably a 16-track digital sound devices recorder. So everybody's mic'd. They've got mics everywhere. Now you've got all those tracks. Basically, it's like mixing a record. by the time you get into the studio, I imagine.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when you go into the studio, now you got like your sound effects editor. You got 24 tracks. So on a standard show, maybe 24 tracks of sound effects. And then your dialogue, you got your maybe 14 tracks, with your dialogue and then your ADR.
Amazing. Hey, hang on for a sec. Here we go.
Sure.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're going to get down with Ray. Hello, Ray. Thanks for hanging on. I appreciate it. You had I completely derailed our conversation, so let me get to your question now.
Yeah, well, I consider myself a semi-tech kind of person, but this past week, I've been having my online banking. I've been getting these messages saying, hey, you changed your password, and I didn't. So I go online and have to call the bank, and then they send me all these different text messages to verify it's me, and then so I changed it, and then again just last night I got up and there was another attempt to log into my bank. So that's the second time in 4 days.
Well, it was more than an attempt if they changed the password, or are you getting a message that merely says like the password reset message where it says, oh, you want to change your password? What would you like it to be? Click this link. That kind of message.
No, I got a message. Your access was locked because you did a number of incorrect login attempts.
Oh, they're trying to guess it.
They're trying to guess it and get in it, and they did get it the first time. The first time they were successful. So
did you just?
I was able to,
no shame here, but was your password like monkey123 or was it a?
No. It was I wasn't. I have LastPass. That.
Okay, so you had a good strong password. Yeah.
But on that. But I have to say I didn't have a password that was generated by LastPass. I had my own, but somehow. But I was able.
I'll tell you why this is important, because if they got in by guessing your password, if your password was guessable, that's one thing. If your password was not, was a good random long password and they got in, that means something entirely different. Because you can't really brute force a bank site. You know what I'm saying? They put delays between the login and it's obvious with your bank, after a certain number of incorrect logins, they're going to error out and say, no, stop. So somebody was able to enter your password without a lot of guesses. That's somewhat concerning. Again, if your password was monkey123, something, or your birthday and your middle name, something obvious, then it's not so concerning. Still concerning because somebody's trying to get in. So what's your sense of that password that they guessed? Was it guessable?
Well, I don't think so. I thought it was pretty.
Was it guessable by somebody who knows you well? Let's try that.
No. Okay. I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's concerning.
Anyways, it is concerning. So that's why I was wondering, looking on your website, the VPN, Express VPN or something.
I don't know if that's going to help you. So what we really got to think about, and this is going to be kind of a game of logic, is how the heck did that happen? You're using LastPass. So the first thing is you're smart. You're using LastPass, which is a good password manager. But in this one case, you didn't have LastPass make up a unique password.
Right.
My suspicion is, and my hope is, that password that they tried on your bank, you had used somewhere else. Is that possible?
Yeah.
Okay, good. True. There you go. Mm-hmm. That's a relief, believe it or not, because it means it wasn't somebody who's spying on you. It wasn't somebody who's in your house, a camera looking over your shoulder, somebody who knows you so well they could guess the password. It was somebody who, our data is breached all the time. It was somebody who found your password for another site and then said, well, let's try this on a number of sites.
And that's the problem, too. We're all creatures of habit where, we don't want to do a different password.
No, of course.
So you have a tendency to use the same password on, 20 different places.
That's why LastPass. From now on, use LastPass. They'll even go through your passwords and say, these are duplicated. And make sure you only use any given password once. Have LastPass created. Now, here's the first thing I would do is go to, there's a site I'm going to give you here that's a little weirdly spelled. It's called Have I Been Pwned? Have I Been is normal, but pwned is spelled P-W-N-E-D. HaveIBeenPwned.com. This is a place where it's completely safe to use. Troy Hunt, who does it, is really great. They collect password breaches, data breaches, all the data breaches, and they collect all the passwords revealed by these data breaches. So you can go in there and enter your email, but what I want you to do is at the top there's a link to passwords. I want you to try that bank password in here. And what it'll tell you is where that password has been seen. And what you will find out is not only, somebody obviously got it from a breach, you'll find out what breach it was, and now you can say, oh, that password is known.
Oh, okay.
That password is out in the, in the world because somebody, maybe you had a Target account that used that password or a Yahoo account that used. There's so many breaches, right? So it'll tell you where the breach came from. And now you'll know, okay, I can't use that password, and you should go into your LastPass and change it in every case.
Yeah.
A VPN is not the solution here because a VPN would protect you against somebody who's snooping on your traffic as it flew through the air.
Oh, okay.
But that's not the problem here, I don't think. The problem is password reuse. That's a much more common problem. The reason is when you connect to your bank, and every bank does this, you're connected securely. It's just as encrypted as if you used a VPN. If you can go into your bank, log into your bank at a coffee shop with wide open access. People can watch the traffic. They won't be able to do anything with it. So VPN is not going to help you in that case. What is going to help you is not using the same password over and over.
Well, what I did this time is I went ahead and turned on that, what is it called, two-factor authentication? Yeah. So now
good.
Every time I sign in,
Yes.
they send me a text.
Right,
so.
Ray. Everywhere you can, especially banking, turn on two-factor. It's an extra step of annoyance. But then even if somebody has your password, they can't open that. They can't change it on that account.
Right.
But
all right, well.
But don't reuse passwords.
I know.
Well, no, this is a good.
I got to go through and update a lot of them.
Yeah, this is the good thing is you're using a password manager. Most of them do this, but LastPass does, I know, that will do a security check on your passwords and will flag all the reused passwords. And they even have a thing that sort of automates the password changes for those accounts. It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Highly recommend you do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Ray, it was a real pleasure talking to you and learning about the movie audio and getting the confirmation that, it's not my ears.
Yeah, well, I use subtitles too sometimes on some shows, so I'm right there with you.
Real pleasure talking to you. Thank you, Ray.
All right, you too.
All right, take care. This guy did the sound for The Sopranos. Wow. And One Tree Hill. Wow. So again, I want to really emphasize this. Now, somebody's saying, well, why? I'm not going to give my password to this site. You can in this case. Make sure you're at Have I Been Pwned. We'll put a link in the show notes. HaveIBeenPWNED.com. But the way Troy does this is very safe, and he even explains it beneath why it's safe to do it this way. He doesn't actually get your password. He gets a hash of your password, which he compares with hashes from other database breaches. So it is safe to do this. But it's a great idea to enter your, I have friends and family who do this. Everybody does. If you're using a variation on your initials and your birth date, for instance, fix it. Fix it. Hello, Chris Marquardt. How are you, my friend?
Hello.
Good to see you. Hello. Ahoy, hoy.
We say hello.
You say hello. French, they say allo. But it's Italian, say
or
pronto.
Hi. We are so Americanized. We're so
Hi.
Americanized.
Yeah.
Hi.
Say mwen.
Howdy.
Howdy. Howdy. I like howdy.
No.
Boy,
no,
howdy.
We don't really. No, we don't really. Howdy.
Allo.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, I think probably influenced by America, right? I would guess.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Same with France.
Definitely.
Allo. Yeah. Why do the Italians
Hello.
answer pronto? What is that?
Please?
Pronto.
Pronto, isn't that please?
I don't know.
You would also do answer the phone in German with the German word for please, bitte.
Bitte.
So that's another way.
Yeah, bitte. That might make more sense. Yeah, bitte. Yeah. Pronto means ready.
There you
I'm
go.
ready.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
Ready to talk.
Ready to talk. Pronto. That's because Italians would be caught dead using the same word Americans use. That's probably.
By the way, you have an email. We are going to do the fishbowl today.
Fishbowl!
It's
So do you want me to
time.
run it or do you want to run it?
I'll drive.
Okay. I'll have it open in case you need it, and I'll put a link in the chat rooms and the show notes so everybody has the appropriate link. Oh, the Tech Guy Podcast brought to you today by Simply Safe. Here it is right here. Boom, boom, boom. This is the greatest thing ever invented. If you've ever wanted to make your home feel safer, this is the time. No better time than right now. This week, Simply Safe is giving Twit listeners early access to their annual holiday deals. And when they say deal, Simply Safe's amazing. 40% off the best home security you can get. Award-winning. Yes. Simply Safe has everything you need to make your homes safe. This is the base unit, but you can get indoor and outdoor cameras, sensors for everything. Water, I put it under the water heater. Glass break, put that in various rooms. Windows opening, doors opening sensors, motion sensors. The thing I love about Simply Safe, you just get what you need. You know what you need. And if you want to add more later, it's easy to do. This thing will actually walk you through it. Peel and stick so you can take them with you if you move. I just think, and no guy traipsing through your house with a drill, putting holes in your wall. You do it all yourself. It's easy. No more than an hour to set up your entire system. It didn't take me even half that long. And then everything you've got is monitored around the clock by the best trained professionals who send help the instant you need it. This is such a good solution, not only affordable, but it really works. I make sure everybody I know has Simply Safe. Best home security system of 2021, according to the U.S. News and World Report. I did say award-winning, did I not? Easy to customize it. Just go to simplysafe.com/twit. Pick the sensors you want. They'll even give you custom recommendations on the website. And you're going to get Simply Safe's biggest discounts of the year. You can get a complete home security system starting at just over $100 plus the most affordable 24/7 monitoring with no long-term contracts, no commitments. It's just an easy way to feel safer at home. And with the holidays coming, this is a good time. Good time to get out the credit card and get yourself some Simply Safe. Take advantage of their holiday deals. There really is no better time. 40% off. Wow. Your new home security system. Go to simplysafe.com/twit. And please do that so they know you saw it on the Tech Guy, okay? simplysafe.com/twit for 40% off your home system. Home security done right. Simply Safe. simplysafe.com/twit. Now back to the Tech Guy. Mama, don't take my Kodachrome away. No, we got digital now, so you can have it. Chris Marquardt is here. He's our photo guy, my personal photo sensei at sensei, SENSEI.photo. He actually has a great book on film photography. At one point, convinced me to go out and buy some film cameras, which I no longer use.
Yeah, didn't last too long.
No, it was fun, but digital is so much easier.
The thing about film is it has a development, a kind of look baked in. So that's one of the reasons that Kodachrome was so popular. It's not around anymore, but Kodachrome had a look, the pictures looked a certain way, and that is difficult to reproduce in the digital realm.
That's true, and there is a certain pleasure to, especially with black and white, to developing it yourself and printing it and all of that. But anyway,
it also takes time. I know.
It takes time in a special room with no lights, so it's not trivial. Mr. Marquardt, let's do some digital. In fact, let's review our photo assignment.
Yes, the clear assignment. We have received pictures. Let me actually put them on the screen because it was a difficult choice this time. So much great stuff here. Thanks everyone for participating in our little assignment. And I made a choice of three of these pictures, and they all are around the word clear. And the first one I chose is by Ramalanka. And It's one of those shots that it's a simple shot. It's a shot of raindrops on a window, but there is some interesting stuff to that. So in this case, what you see is the raindrops are in focus, and the rest behind it is out of focus. It's a shot you see every now and then. But now what happens is what becomes interesting is what's behind the window and what is out of focus. Because if you look closely in those raindrops, whatever is behind them is in focus. So you have lots of little lenses in those raindrops that make everything that's behind it
very cool.
It duplicates it. So I like these kind of photos, especially when they are very colorful. So like a window of a car at night with colorful lights behind it, that makes it interesting. But this kind of a monochrome version is also interesting. So I like this. Good job. Good job. And it's clear. Raindrops are clear. So that is that. The second one is by Mitch XX, titled Clear Ice. And I looked at the camera. Mitch took his brand new Nikon Z7 II out, which hasn't been out for too long. And it's a telephoto shot. It's a long lens. It's a shot of ice, and not just ice, but ice on a frozen lake. So what we're looking at is a slightly rippled surface of the frozen ice. So the water wasn't very calm when it froze, and then chunks of ice on it. And despite the assignment being clear, the pieces of ice aren't that clear. I mean, you see they are not transparent. They're translucent. So you see them being white. That's because there's air in the ice. And what I like about this is that it's a very crisp shot, but it's also the color makes it feel cool because it's bluish. So it is on that cold side of the visual spectrum, and that makes it very, very
I feel cold looking at it.
Very authentic. Very authentic,
I feel
right?
chilly. Yeah.
just imagine that in warm, and you can easily do this if you do.
Then I would think it was pieces
easily
of pie.
slide it into warm.
No, this is cold, very cold. I like it.
Well, and that pie that just came to your mind, of course, comes from the shape of that one piece of ice. It looks like a slice of pie.
Yes.
So
looks, and if it were a yellower then rather than bluer, it might look like pumpkin pie. And so you can see where you can see.
Also means that it also means that it's just lunchtime for you. So
yeah, exactly. You can see where my mind's at. Oh, pie.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Third out of the three that I chose, and this one it took me a few seconds to warm up to this, and then it became one of my favorites of the entire set. And what we're looking here, okay, so we're looking at a silhouette of a tree or a bunch of trees in front of a sunset. But that's not all. That is then mirrored in a window, and that window is kind of transparent, but right behind it there's blinds. So we're looking at a house, and then in the reflection there's the sunset, and that adds a whole bunch of layers, which makes this very interesting for me. So you see the warm sunset. Let's talk about colors for a second. You see the warm sunset, you see the coolish kind of side of the house and the windows. So those contrast each other nicely from a color point of view. And then you have these layers. You have the sun, like the sky. You have the second layer is the trees, the silhouettes of the trees. Then the third layer is the window. And then the fourth layer is the blinds behind the window. And these layers also become, I would say, layers in a story that you can see in that photo, whichever that might be. Everyone can make up their own story about it, but someone's not at home, and but it's nice outside. Maybe that person is outside right now taking that picture. Maybe whatever. There's like layers of possibilities in that shot, and that's because of the visual layers, and I'm really happy about it.
This raises an interesting point, because if you wanted just a pretty picture, you might eliminate the blinds. You just have the sunset and the trees. That would be a pretty picture. This is not aesthetically pretty, but it's evocative. It's more interesting. It kind of makes you think about what's going on.
That makes it interesting, right? That's something that comes from down here, from the fields, right? That's where this is located.
Yeah.
And we need a new assignment now.
Well, that means it's time to break out the fishbowl.
The fishbowl. We still don't have a jingle for the fish.
We need a fish for the fishbowl. So what Chris does, he's got a lot of what are they? Are they all adjectives?
Adjectives.
All adjectives in a fishbowl, randomly selected by his hand, and you can hear them rustling around.
And I'm pulling one out, and that one says, hold on. Oh, lazy.
Lazy.
There we go.
That's good. I like it.
That is going to
what
be
do we do with
interesting.
lazy? This is the thing. Don't be lazy. The whole point of this is not to be lazy, but to take pictures. Now, it's not a competition. There's no prize. But the idea is for the next 4 weeks, think lazy when you go out with your camera or your camera phone. Doesn't have to be a fancy camera by any means. And look for images that say lazy to you. And then if you find one you like and you get a great image, upload it to Flickr. That's where we do our photo sharing. It's a great photo sharing site, flickr.com. They don't pay us. Actually, we pay them, right, Chris? Maybe I should talk to them. Well, they don't pay us, but we do encourage the use of it because it's a great way to share your photos and get critiques and comments on it. But there's also a tech guy group there. You'll know you're in the right place because there's more than 10,000 members. It's a very busy group. And the way you enter this, what is it? It's not a competition. This challenge is
an opportunity.
Opportunity is to upload your images, tag it though, so we know it's for this month. TG for tech guy, lazy. Not sure I like that. TG. Well, no, I am lazy. TG lazy. When you upload it, submit it to the Tech Guy Flickr group. Renee Silverman, our moderator, will say thank you. And you can do up to 1 photo a week, so no more than 4 over the next 4 weeks. And in about a month, Chris will sit down with all of the images. There were a lot this time. Pick 3 he wants to talk about, the 3 you just heard for this month's assignment. And maybe yours will be in that group. That's really the only reward. Chris, as always, thank you. Sensei.photo, SENSEI.PHOTO. And don't forget his great podcast tips from the top floor at tfttf.com. We'll see you next week, Chris.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to go take some lazy pictures. Already a submission in the chat, in the Discord chat. This is
a whole bunch of them.
This is lazy. You know, that's a good point. It doesn't have to be like a guy in a hammock on the beach.
No.
Could be the results.
Can be very, very inventive. I think lazy is a good one. I think
I like it.
Has a lot of potential.
Yeah, I'm glad you picked it out. That's great. Here's another one. That's
well,
cute.
I picked it out of 100 different ones. So.
This is actually working out well. I like this bucket idea.
Yeah. Adds a bit of drama to the whole thing.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, there's a lot of
what's
lazy,
wrong with that? Nothing.
lazy cats and stuff here. It's good. All right, have a great week. You got your booster, right?
I am boosted.
It's in the arm.
Hanging in there. There is a chance of me having to skip next week.
That's fine. Do you want to wait until you know? Yeah, just email me. That's all.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will send you and John an email.
Yeah, send it to John too, because I often miss emails.
Yes.
Thank you.
Will do.
Thank you, Chris.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right.
See you in a week.
Take care.
Bye now.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. We're talking off the air. We're talking about how people answer the phone. Because at the beginning of the hour, I was talking about ahoy, which is what Alexander Graham Bell wanted to use. Ahoy, hoy. Hello, Thomas Edison's answer. In Italy, they say pronto, which means ready. Chris Marquardt was telling me in Germany, they say allo. Same in France. In Spain, they say diga, which is speak. In Mexico, they say bueno, which is good. But then I realized I don't actually always say hello. Kim says, this is Kim. John, our studio manager, says, this is John. And I realized sometimes I'll say that if work calls, if you called me, Professor Laura, the caller ID would say Premier, I would say, this is Leo, knowing that, you want to, I don't know who it is. But I think caller ID has kind of changed how we answer the phone. I'm curious, do you answer the phone if you see, let's say it's your mom calling and you see your name, you go, "Hi, Mom," right? When my daughter calls, I'll say, hi, daughter. So that makes sense, right? If you already know who it is, if the caller ID says, you might answer. Chat room says, do you say, "Hello, scam likely"? "Hello, car warranty"? No. Hello, robocaller. 8888 Ask Leo. Cedra's on the line from Laguna Beach, California. Hi, Cedra.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you today?
Good, thank you. So, was at the airport putting my computer, my laptop in the bin.
Oh, no.
The bin moved and my computer hit the ground.
See, this is why we shouldn't travel anymore.
Okay, we should stay home.
Just stay home. Everybody stay home. Oh, your computer hit the ground. Ugh. Yeah. Big, like, boom?
Yes.
Ugh.
Yeah. So it was running slower than molasses.
Oh.
And nothing outside broke, but it was just like, there was a rat in there running it. So I did.
Wait a minute. When you say a rat, like on a little spin wheel going.
Yeah. No, not as fast as a mouse, like a big rat.
Walking slowly. Okay, got it. All right. Okay.
So I went on the internet, looked around, did this command CHKDSKFR.
Check disk.
Now,
yes.
That actually made it work a little better.
A little better. Oh.
Yeah. Not amazing, but not horrible.
So I'm going to guess it's an older computer.
It's just a couple years old.
But it has a spinning disk in it, not an SSD.
Yes, it does. It doesn't have an SSD.
Yeah, SSDs generally don't get damaged by impact. It's not unusual for a spinning disk to get damaged. And so, if you will, visualize not a rat, but a number of platters that spin very fast, between 5,600 and 10,000 revolutions a minute. So very, very fast. And each of the platters has a little head, like a recording head, like on your cassette player, a little head but it doesn't touch the disc. It floats just a hair above the disc, close enough that it can read the magnetic impulses on the disc, but not actually touch it. That's actually very important because if it should hit the disc, it could literally gouge it. Because the disc is spinning, right? If it hits it even briefly, it could put a gouge along the disc. If it gets itself damaged, it might be just bent just enough so that it's like instead of a micron above the disc, it's 5 microns above the disc. So it can kind of read it, but not really. So you could see that there's physical damage can happen to that drive that could make it irreparable. It wouldn't get better. There's also soft damage. So the disc... Maybe the drive was at the moment doing something. Sometimes that happens. The computer, when you're not using it, still is indexing the drive. So the disk was spinning and the head was reading. Normally on a disk, by the way, on these spinning disks, when it's shut down, when it's not in use, just to avoid this, it retracts the head. It stops the spinning. It actually goes into a kind of a bunker mode so that it can't cause any damage. But unfortunately, I think timing-wise, your disc was doing something.
Okay.
So that head, so this is another thing that can happen. The head could be writing ones or zeros, it's writing data, and then it gets knocked. Just as if you were writing out a letter and somebody knocked your elbow right across the page. So that's the other possibility is they got ones and zeros spread across the disc. Those damages can be fixed. But both of them would result in the symptoms you're seeing, which is the computer is trying to read that area. Maybe it's the area it needs to, on the operating system to boot the operating system, but it's trying to read that area. And every time it gets there, it's hard to read for some reason. And it has to try extra hard. So what check disk is fixing, it's not very powerful. It's kind of a semi-useful tool. It's going and it's making sure that the directories and everything all match, that the directory of what's on the drive is correct, and you actually have a backup directory. You can check that. So it's doing some rudimentary fixing, but not really hardcore fixing. The best thing to do that would fix either of these problems is to get a new hard drive in there.
Oh, okay.
That will solve the problem. Now you've got the problem of your data. So before you do that, you want to take, it might be slow, but get all the data off that you can. Copy it to an external drive of some kind.
Now I have iDrive. Is that?
I love hearing that. Not just because they're a sponsor, but because I know you're good. So that's great. So whatever data was damaged in this is fine, is safe up in the cloud. That's good. Tell me the name of the computer. What kind of computer is it?
Oh, shoot. It's an HP.
HP. Most laptops, you can replace the drive. And in this case, I think replacing the drive with an SSD would be good. It'll speed up everything to the point where you'll go, wow, it's like I got a new computer.
Okay.
So, and by doing that and then restoring, reinstalling Windows and restoring your data, everything will be fixed. If it's a hardware issue on the drive, it's not repairable. If it's a software issue, it is repairable. But the cost to repair it might be more than the cost of a new disk.
See, that's what I was thinking. Like I went to when I would check it, going to a place to have them check it, it was $200 to check it. And I'm like, the laptop probably cost me $500.
You can get an SSD that's twice the size of the one you have for $150 or maybe less.
Okay.
So you get a 2 terabyte SSD for nothing. So that's probably the right thing to do. I would go out and you can go online. If you brought it somewhere, they could do it. They'll charge you a labor fee. It's easy to go online, look up your exact model on YouTube and disk replacement and see if you're comfortable. It may just be a few screws in the back, lift it out, put in a new drive. It may be more complicated. So sometimes they put the disk under the battery and stuff.
Oh, I apologize. Thank you. And I'm kind of mechanical. Do you have a brand of drive that you like?
Yes. Get a Samsung EVO 750 or 850. If you want the best, get the 850.
Okay.
Well, actually, no, they have an 870 now. Those are very good. But you have to get one that's going to match what you've got in the computer. So you do have to kind of look up that computer and see what kind of, is it a SATA connection? Is it M.2, that kind of thing.
It's a SATA.
It's SATA.
I don't know why I know that.
Yeah, good. Because you're smart. You're mechanical. You said
totally.
That. The EVO, 870 EVO SATA is a SSD that looks just like the spinning drive. It's a 2.5-inch drive in your computer, but it's not. It's solid state. If you got a 1 terabyte drive, that'd be $109.
Oh my gosh, I'm so doing that.
You're so doing that to speed up everything. There's one other thing. My friend Steve Gibson does make software that's check disk on steroids called SpinRite. That's at grc.com, but it's $90. So I think it's always cheaper just to buy a new drive. But I do want to give the plug. SpinRite, 50-50 would fix it. If it's hardware, it's not going to fix it. Ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. Ba-dee-ba-dee-boo, ba-doo-ba-doo-doo. Skibli-up-bo-ba-dee-da. See, the reason SpinRite is a good choice if you knew it was a software problem, like a soft damage. But if the disk got gouged, well, even if the disk got gouged, as long as it's still running, what SpinRite does, it goes through the whole hard drive, looks for damaged sectors, could be physical damage or soft damage. And if it can't read that sector, it reads it, keeps reading it until it can, then it moves it off. And sometimes it can recover a drive. The thing is, if the drive's been dropped and is now acting funny, that's a pretty strong indication that you shouldn't keep using it, I guess. That's to me what that indicates. Time to get a different drive. And now, upgrading to an SSD, what a big improvement that's going to be. Well, hey, hola, diga pronto. It's me, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet. I'm starting to like that. Maybe I could just do like, ahoy, hoy, pronto, hola, diga, bueno. 8888, ask Leo's the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, though, you could still call. You can call from anywhere. Just you use Skype out or something that'll let you call a phone number. It should be free because it's a toll-free number. 8888-ASK-LEO. The website, techguylabs.com, has all the information you need. If you don't have to write anything down, if you hear something, I put links up there and all of that. techguylabs.com. Back to the phone. Sheryl from Riverside, California. Hi, Sheryl.
Hey, Leo, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, 3 years ago, you recommended the Pixel 3 to me.
Wow, that was a long... Was it 3 years? Wow.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the phone. But I was reading actually last weekend that the Pixel 3 will get one more security update, probably first quarter next year.
Yeah.
And I was curious, what's your thoughts on how safe is it to continue using a phone that is no longer getting security updates?
This is unfortunately a big problem in the Android world. All computers need security updates. And if they don't get them, there's always a risk that you could be hacked. And it's probably even more the case with phones, only because everything's on there, right. And so you don't want to get hacked. With Android, it's an issue because there are many, many Android phones out there that are under $50 that will never get updates. Those phones are really, running scared. The Pixels are great because Google's pretty good about updating them. Unfortunately, 3 years is a long time in the phone world. So they have said with their newest Pixels, the Pixel 6, that they are going to offer 5 years of updates, which is pretty remarkable.
I saw that.
Yeah, there's two things to be considered, though. There's two kinds of updates. There's security updates, and then there's feature updates. And this is true for Windows as well and Macintosh. Security updates are generally an ongoing process. Android is kind of settled on a monthly update. So with a Google phone, you're going to have the best update cadence. Here we are in December. You probably will already have maybe not, it's December 5th, but the next week you'll have the December update.
Okay.
Samsung phones, you might still be stuck on October. Other phones, you might be stuck on May. And then there's phones you're stuck in, 1992. So it really varies. Pixel's always going to have the best updates. Always. Samsung, Motorola have both agreed to kind of keep their phones up to date for longer. That's really a big improvement. Google has also changed how they do updates because some of the updates now are in the Google Play Store and will be updated kind of automatically forever. You don't need to worry about feature updates. Getting to Android 12, for instance, the latest version of Android, is less important than getting those security updates.
Okay.
So when they say we're not going to give you security updates past a certain time to get a new phone, in my opinion. It really is. It's just not safe. Now, there are options. If the phone's working great, you can root it. This is maybe even less secure. I don't know. You can root it and install other firmware that is kept updated on it. The Android is an interesting ecosystem because it's open source. So there are lots of versions of the Android operating system available. And so a phone that is older can be made secure and up to date by, we call it rooting it. Which means merely giving you root access so that you can change the firmware. Details on that are very specific to individual phones, and the best place to go for that information is a forum called xda-developers.com. Okay. And you search for your phone model, exact model, because there's different models in Europe and the Middle East and stuff. And you can see what the status is on rooting it. Google's phones can always be rooted. Google doesn't mind that. And then what ROMs, they call them ROMs, alternate firmware is out there. So if you really said, I love this Pixel 3, or I can't afford spending hundreds of dollars to get a new phone because I have a perfectly good device, you could. That's always an option. There are potential risks as well because you're now running firmware not from Google.
Right.
But XDA is pretty good on picking the right firmware and so forth. I would say now would be a good time to look at a 5A if you want to save money.
Actually was looking at that one.
They're really nice. If you want to spend a little money, get a Pixel 6. Probably around June, Google will announce a 6A. That's kind of how do they do these things. When they ship the new phone in the fall, they don't ship the low-cost version, but then they 6 months later, they release the low-cost version.
Right.
So if you could wait, you certainly have time to wait. You could wait till, say, June or July. A Pixel 6a would probably give you a lot of the benefits of the 6 without all the price. So
That sounds good.
yeah. They're supposedly with a 6a, it's going to be equivalent of the Pixel 6 in almost every respect. So it'll be a good mid-range choice. So it really depends on the money. 5a is fine. That was the same thing for last year's phone, basically.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you so much.
Sure, Cheryl. The bottom line, though, the answer to your question is don't use a phone that's not getting updated.
Gotcha.
It's just too risky. If you're not getting security updates in any computer device of any kind, it's very risky. Because what happens when they release the update, the first thing that happens, bad guys go and they say, well, let's look at what they updated. And that is, in a way, an announcement that there's a problem. Oh, they updated the messaging tool. Oh, well, let's take a look and see if we can find what they fixed. And in effect, that's an announcement. Here's where to hack. So, this is, unfortunately, when updates come out, it's kind of a red flag for everybody who does an update. So it's really important that you do the updates. Now, are you going to get hacked? Probably. It's generally you get hacked on computers, laptops, desktops, by an email attachment that you try to run, for instance, that kind of thing. It's a phone. You're not probably trying to open attachments. On the other hand, the phone, you're walking around in the real world with Wi-Fi on and Bluetooth on, and so I guess it depends on where the flaw is that they're fixing. If it's a Bluetooth flaw, and there have been many, you could have a drive-by hack. And if I'm a bad guy, I'm going to try to go after phones because everything, is on there. And if I can get into a phone, man, I could, you've got a GPS, a camera, a microphone, and it's always on the internet. This is like heaven for a bad guy. Generally speaking, and this has been the problem, I think, in the Android world, one of the things Apple does very well is they keep their phones up to date. You're still getting security updates for the iPhone 6S. We're up to the 13 now. That's 7 or 8 years. Not the same in the Android world. So, yeah, risky to use a phone that doesn't get updates. 8888 Ask Leo's the phone number. Bill is on the line from Huntington Beach, California, our next caller. Hi, Bill.
Hey, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
I got a quick question for you. I had to replace my laptop Apple computer during COVID. It was getting old, but it had iPhoto on there. And I found that iPhoto really worked well for me. It managed my photos, and the simple editing on it was adequate. And
along comes Mojave, and now it's photos.
Yeah, and so I'm stuck. So
yeah, you have to move to Photos. It's very similar. Have you tried it?
Well, I'm trying to do that.
Mostly it's a rename. There's some stuff under the hood that's different. So some people with particular needs might say, well, I miss, XYZ and iPhotos. But now it's been a few years, by the way. And so Photos has gotten better and better. I use it pretty much as my photo library. So you can move, you can absolutely do the upgrade. When you got the new Mac, I hope you saved the old stuff on the old Mac, right?
I do. It didn't completely die on me, but it's just showing its age. So
yeah,
so unplugged
there is an iPhotos library on there. Get that off. That's got all the stuff you've had put in there for years. Move that to the new Mac. And when you open it, you just double click it. When you open it, Photos will say, whoa, I haven't seen one of these since 2015. And convert it, and you'll be fine.
Okay. So you think I'd be happy with the new Photos?
Yeah, I mean, there's new features that I think are great. Yeah. So let me see. There is, it looks like Apple does offer an iPhoto library upgrader. I think it'll just do it automatically. This is from 2013. Periodically Apple will change the catalog format and stuff, and so they'll have to do it. But they do it automatically, built into Photos. It takes a while. Make sure you have a copy. Don't do it on your only copy. So have a backup copy of the iPhotos library, and then work on that. But we all moved back in 2015, and I'm
starting to move.
You're starting to move, man, and I think it's good. There's new features that I think are wonderful. It does a lot of automated stuff. They realize that there's getting a lot of competition from Google Photos in terms of face recognition and creating albums and movies and stuff. So they do a lot of that in the For You tab. They have a Memories tab, and it's all done on the phone safely. So it's not sharing any of that back to Apple, which I really like, unlike Google. And I think they do a great job. I'm looking at my Memories now. I have one called Back in the Day. I have one called Golden Hour. They're using a lot of artificial intelligence to create interesting things. So I think it's pretty good. There may be a couple of features, some in the corners of iPhotos that you miss. I can't even think of what they might be. I think you'll be fine.
Okay. So it'll manage my photos like
exactly the same.
iPhoto.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, exactly the same.
Okay. If I don't like it, is there an alternative?
Well, that's what I was about to say. You're on a great platform for photographers. Most professionals use Macs. So there are a lot of choices. My personal favorites that I have on every Mac, I'll give you 3. They're not expensive. One is Pixelmator Pro. And did you get, when you got the new Mac, did you get one of the new M1 based Macs, or is it still on Intel? Do you know?
That I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
When did you buy it?
Approximately 16 months ago. Okay.
So it's an Intel base. That's fine. But Pixelmator Pro is a very good choice. I think it's like $15. The apps are, maybe it's 40. No, it's 20, somewhere in between. So it's not an expensive. Apps are cheap on the Mac App Store. I also recommend Darkroom, another great app. And then the number one app that people really love, I think it's a little hard to use, but if you want a Photoshop quality app, Affinity Photo from Serif. Okay. So between those 3, there's nothing you can't do. I actually have all 3, use all 3, and I also use some other programs from a company called Skylum and so forth. But I use all of those, but I keep all my photos in Apple's Photos because they have a little feature you can edit in some other programs. So if you're working on a photo and the basic editing tools built into Photos, which are quite good, aren't sufficient, you can say, open that up in Affinity Photo, and now let's really work on it. And you can do anything. Yeah, it's very, very powerful. Affinity Photo's $38. I mean, it's on sale right now. It's really inexpensive.
And that's a one-time purchase?
Yep. None of this Photoshop, you're going to pay for the rest of your life stuff.
Right. All right. Hey, Leo, you've been very helpful.
My pleasure. Yeah, fear not. I think you're going to be fine, Bill. But again, as always, when you do this kind of thing, save the originals so you don't get into trouble and something doesn't disappear and so forth. I have to say, Adobe's in trouble because there's so many good photo tools now on the Mac that the high-priced tools from companies like Capture One and Adobe, I don't think they can compete. Maybe if you're a super pro, somebody like Chris Marquardt, our photo guy, he says, I've invested years in Adobe Lightroom. I'm not going to switch because it's all in that catalog. It would be a massive effort to switch, and that I understand. But if you're not tied into something, I think Apple Photos, just to manage the photos, does a great job. Make sure you back it up, of course. And then there are so many great programs out there. You really have a huge choice. On we go with the show. I'm not sure who this is because all it says is you have an older HP computer. What's your name, sir?
It's Elton.
Hi, Elton. Where are you calling from?
Washington State.
Nice to meet you. What can I do for you?
Well, it is an older HP. I'm retired. I just not computer savvy. I've kind of faked it forever. I started out with an Amiga 500. So anyway, I got this HP computer. I got it at a pawn shop.
Oh, wow.
When I was out working.
Nice.
And it was a Windows 7.
Okay.
And I upgraded it when they went to 10, and I didn't like it, and I went back, and then, they discontinued, updates and everything for Windows 7.
You'd want to move to 10, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did. But when I did, the computer had a sticker on it that said it was a Blu-ray disc player.
Ah.
And since I switched, I can't play anything. And that's just one of the problems. I have an iPhone too that I have a heck of a time trying to download pictures.
Well, let's do the Blu-ray first. I want to run it out of time. You need software on your Mac to play, or on your PC to play back Blu-ray. And probably what happened when you moved to 10 or back again, the software that HP had provided is gone. So one thing you could do is go to hp.com and see if you've got updated software for that model of computer. Otherwise, there are great Blu-ray programs you can download. Cyberlink's probably the most popular, but there are many other choices. I'll put a link in the show notes. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, I think that's one where you probably blew out whatever the HP software was that they built in. There are free programs, free open source programs. VLC from videoland.com is good. But if you want kind of all the features of the HP product, they probably had a minimal version of Cyberlink's Power DVD on there. That was very common in those days. So, the reason it's an issue is because Blu-rays and DVDs, commercial DVDs, are copy protected. So you can't just, willy-nilly play them back. You need to have the right kind of software on there. And that's why I recommend Cyberlink. It's about $70 on Amazon, and it would solve all those problems.
All right. Sounds good. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. What about your iPhone 2?
Well,
wait a minute. Not an iPhone 2.
It's a 7.
Oh, good. Okay.
I got it when I retired. It was my retirement watch.
Oh, nice.
And,
of course, the nice thing about a watch is it never goes out of date. An iPhone 7, it's kind of out of date.
Yeah, but I made it last forever, and then finally, I've probably had it 6 years now, I guess. And I dropped it the other day.
Oh, nuts.
But it's taken off the top of the car on the freeway.
Oh, yeah, they're good. Yeah.
I had to go, where's my phone, to find it.
So the problem, though, if it's broken, is it like won't turn on broken?
Oh, no, it works fine. It's fine. I don't get any slivers from the glass.
Oh, okay.
But no, when I download into this HP computer, trying to download my pictures, I want to delete them all out of my phone because I have no memory left in my phone.
Yeah. My suggestion is, best way to do this is put Google Photos on there, one last app, and tell it back up. And it will back up everything to the Google Photos cloud. And then there's a setting in Google Photos that says delete backed up photos. And it'll wipe off all those photos, but they'll be safe in the Google Cloud.
Okay, but it'll delete them off my phone.
And then it deletes them off the phone once they're backed up. So it's kind of risk-free. It won't delete them until they're backed up.
Oh, okay. So Google
Photos. If you have an Amazon Prime account, it's free.
I do.
Oh, Amazon offers Amazon Photos, does the same thing, and it does higher quality. It does the originals. So
did your videos too?
Yeah, Amazon Photos from Amazon Prime.
I think I've got pretty much everything backed up. I'm just afraid we went to Scotland, Ireland a couple.
Oh yeah, you don't want to lose those. Yeah.
No, I've got them on thumb drive.
Yeah.
That's another thing. I got
iDrive on you put iDrive on that old computer, it should back them up, but maybe because it's a really old computer, iDrive might not iDrive. I'm sorry, iTunes. Okay. Confusing iTunes with our sponsor. iTunes should back it up, but if you have an older computer that iTunes won't run on, then Amazon's photos will work. Amazon will back up unlimited full-resolution photos and up to 5 gigabytes of video for free.
Very good.
Yeah, because you're a Prime member.
Yeah. That's amazing, Amazon.
Yeah. I know. You get a lot for Prime. I know they keep charging a little more, but boy, you get a lot.
Right.
So Google Photos or Amazon Prime, either way, once it's backed up, then you don't have to worry about it anymore.
Well, I think I'll go to HP. Just HP?
See what HP.com has. They may have an update for all that software for Windows 10, but if not, PowerLink.
Yeah, this is a Pavilion G7. I don't know how to find out the model number.
That's pretty old, yeah.
I just haven't talked the wife into springing for my new computer.
Get her to... You need the spousal acceptance factor. That's the thing.
That's right.
Pleasure to talk to you. I got to run. Take care, Elton.
Thank you, Leo.
We got Elton going on in the background, actually. Tech Guy Podcast brought to you this week, and pretty much every week these days. Certainly our website's brought to you every day by UserWay. Userway.org/twit. What is UserWay? UserWay is the greatest thing for your website. Everybody who has a website is running a public entity, okay? The U.S. Supreme Court said that. That means it is bound by law to be accessible. That's the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act. You have to make it accessible. Now, when I found that out, I thought, oh, no, what is this going to mean? I'm going to have to hire developers. It's going to be a lot of work. I'm going to have to monitor for compliance. No. All you got to do is go to userway.org/twit. So what is UserWay? It's an incredible AI-powered solution that tirelessly works on your behalf to enforce the hundreds of WCAG, they call it, with one line of JavaScript. You put that in there, UserWay could do more than an entire team of developers. And if you're saying, well, who are these guys? You've seen them because they're on more than 1 million websites, including some of the biggest sites in the world, Disney, Coca-Cola, FedEx. And now, but you don't have to spend like those guys. They're making their best-in-class enterprise-grade accessibility solutions available to everyone at a very affordable price. I mean it. Less than we pay for just the fonts on our website, UserWay. And when you scale, you're going to love it because UserWay can scale with you. They can handle big sites like Disney. They can handle yours. An accessible, compliant website is not just the right thing to do. It's also good business sense. You're leaving behind more than 60 million Americans with disabilities who can't use your site. Registration forms, nav menus, shopping carts that just are inaccessible to them. That means lost business. So 3 really good reasons. It's the right thing to do. It's the legal thing to do. You don't want to get sued. And most importantly, it's good for your business. It's good for you. UserWay has been on the cutting edge creating innovative accessibility technologies for years. They push the envelope of what's possible with AI, machine learning, and computer vision. They'll automatically fix violations, and they do it in the code. They actually add to the accessibility layer of the browser. And every browser has an accessibility layer. Every user with disabilities wants you to do that so they can use your site. I mean, some of the things it does, it auto-generates image alts, those alt tags that you're supposed to put in. Without those, a blind user, the photos are just empty spaces on your website. It actually writes the descriptions for you. You can add to that if you want. It's got a simple way to do that. You'll fix those complex nav menus, make sure that pop-ups are accessible. It fixes vague link violations, any broken links. Little things, too, like, for instance, I know you have a color your brand uses, perhaps. It doesn't, without changing the Pantone color, it adds to the accessibility layer a modification, modifying luminance and saturation so that it's web accessible if it's not. And that's important. It's got to be accessible colors. And you'll get a report of all the violations. Look, just go to the website. They have a free scanning tool. It'll tell you if your site's ADA compliant. It's a simple addition, no matter what you're using, WordPress, Shopify, Wix. It's cost-effective, easy to add. Same goes for AEM, Sitecore, SharePoint. It integrates seamlessly with every kind of site, including my site, which is, handwritten, basically. Just one line of JavaScript. Just ask the voice of Siri what she thinks of UserWay.
UserWay is trusted by more than 1 million websites and 60 million users with disabilities. Visit userway.org to learn how one line of code can make your website accessible.
UserWay can make any website fully accessible, ADA compliant. With UserWay, everyone who visits your site can browse seamlessly, customize it to fit their needs. It's also a great way to showcase your commitment to millions of people with disabilities. Just the right thing to do. Go to userway.org/twit, 30% off their AI-powered accessibility solution. UserWay, what? Did I just say 30% off? I did. You caught it, didn't you? userway.org/twit. Sometimes I say those things so fast, it goes by. So you want to emphasize that. That's a good deal. Userway.org/twit. Userway, making the internet accessible for everyone. Thank you, Userway, for supporting the Tech Guy. Thank you for supporting the Tech Guy by using that address. Userway.org/twit. Now back to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our personal rocket man, Rod Pyle. He's the author of so many great books about space, including First on the Moon, all about the moon landing, Space 2.0, editor-in-chief of the great Ad Astra magazine from the Space Society, National Space Society, NSS.org. Hello, Rod.
Hey, I got to get you a newer issue.
Well, this is fun because this is the living in space issue.
Yeah,
and,
that one was very
I
special.
like to plan for my new home, so it's good. I like it. What
Something
is
like on the back cover? Yeah.
What is up in? Am I ready? Yes, I'm ready to go to space. Did you see that the latest guy to go up on the Amazon Prime rocket? Did you see that?
The guy that you talking about the guy that died or
no. There's a famous person. This was escaping me. I was hoping you would remember.
Yeah, no, I had it in my mind.
They're going up on Jeff Bezos's Blue Origin rocket. Two people paying $28 million each, and then I guess because it's probably good publicity, right? The next. He's thinking so hard, he's not moving. He's not moving at all. Michael Strahan, the football star, is going up on the New Shepard's 19th mission. But we've lost Rod because, you never should give somebody with a big brain like Rod a puzzler because now his computer is locked up. So we're going to try to get Rod. We're going to try to get Rod back on the horn. Oh, he's calling. I hear him now. Let me pick him up on the phone. Hi, Rod. You froze. You froze on me.
Yeah. It looks like my internet connection completely cooked itself. So
you froze though in a very fetching. You know how sometimes when the computer screen freezes, you looked like you were thinking about who was going into space and then blew.
I was trying to remember
on the New Shepard. It is Michael Strahan, the football player. He's going to, and he's going to fly.
I think we're going to see personalities going up, at every couple of flights because it is good PR.
Good PR. And then the other person going with him, which I really like, is Laura Shepard Churchley, who's Alan Shepard's daughter.
Yes. That was the one that I had in my mind before it flew away.
Strahan is the host of Good Morning America, so who cares, right?
Yeah. That's not beyond. So the fact that we don't have an internet connection botches one of the cool stories it's going to have. So I'll
Were you going to play me some more music from Mars?
No, I was going to show you the Chinese U-2 rover spotted about 300 feet away from where it is right now on the far side of the moon, a cube.
What?
It's very soft.
Wait a minute.
See what it is, but off on the horizon,
cubes are made by humans.
Well, yeah, although the backside of the moon is really beat up because it was facing all the incoming crud. Because the moon is tidally locked to the Earth, so the far side is always the far side. So back in the early solar system days, it got battered pretty hard. So it's probably just a big square rock, but it is weird.
But square, when you say square, you usually think somebody made that, right?
Right.
You know who this is gonna? You know who's gonna love this? The conspiracy theorists. Guy used to be an MTV VJ, Adam Curry, is convinced that we have a military base on the dark side of the moon. So he's going to eat this up. He's going to say, that cube...
Actually, I thought it was the Nazis, but yeah, somebody does.
Somebody does. Well, with conspiracies, we're never sure. That's pretty cool.
So they're going they're going to drive over there and take a look at it. But I'll hit that next week.
But would they tell us? Would the Chinese tell us if they'd found out what it was?
Are you kidding? Can you imagine well, first of all, it would be a crowning moment for them because the first discovery of extraterrestrial intelligence is one of those things that goes down in the history books.
I guess you're right.
So
yeah.
That's an empire builder. And then NASA's going to say, oh, let's fund a mission right now. And that speeds up.
But as with UFOs and a lot of other things, human eyes or even cameras are often mistaken. So.
Well, and we always look for the familiar, right? So there's that thing we've talked about before, pareidolia, which makes you want to see faces and things like the face on Mars. But we also want to see familiar shapes. So if we see anything that resembles, a corner or a convergence of angles that looks familiar to us, we go, oh, I know what that is.
I love it. So the Chinese have given it the name Mystery Hut.
Mystery Hut. Yeah, well, you call these up quick. Yeah, which I thought was great. I mean, it's temporary. It's a temporary name, but it's very descriptive, and it's kind of cool.
So how long is it going to take for them to get over there?
Yeah, they say 2 to 3 months because they've only driven about a quarter mile so far, so it's going very slowly. But it's on the backside of the moon.
There's a movie in this. There's a movie in this.
Oh, yeah.
They start now. They got 2 or 3 months. What if we launch our own rover and try to beat them to it?
From your mouth to Congress's ear.
It would be a race to get to the Mystery Hut. Of course, we'd get there, and it's just a funny rock, but,
Well, it turns out to be a fossilized fast food outlet. That would be really cool.
It's a Wendy's.
We have another very cool mission going up.
Yes.
On December 7th, we've got a mission with the very unlyrical name of Laser Communications Relay Demonstration, or LCRD, which was started because of what NASA calls data hunger. So they're getting so much data back from the Mars rovers, and there's going to be so much coming down from the Artemis missions, that they said, we need something better than radio. So they want to do point-to-point laser communications, which is very 21st century. So that's what this is. It's a demo for point-to-point laser beam communications, which they estimate will be 10 to 100 times faster for data transfer than what they're using and have much bigger bandwidth. And because we're sending up in the next few years some private space stations, more Earth observation satellites, Artemis missions, of course, and the ever-increasing bandwidth coming down from this fleet of Mars spacecraft we have, and anything going into the deep solar system, laser would be great for as far as it'll work. So they're going to send the satellite up to geosynchronous orbit, which is about 22,500 miles. So that's the orbit where it orbits the same rate the Earth turns, so it stays in one point in the sky, so it's very easy to track. So it'll beam to a sub-satellite and then back and forth to Earth for the next 2 years. And once we learn our lessons from that, then we can apply them to Artemis and some of the Mars missions and really start getting back all that high-def video that we've been wanting to see all these years.
They don't call it LCRD, do they?
No, not so far. I think it's just LCRD. We've got to use the initials for that one.
Okay.
And, the other benefit of interest to people in radio is it bypasses this increasingly crowded radio spectrum, because it's just increasingly hard to do that. I mean, you talk about what they're doing with the television HD channels and so forth, and that spectrum is just whacked. So this gives them a chance to say, okay, we'll just use lasers and completely slice through this. So I think that's really cool. I'm looking forward to that one.
But meanwhile, back to the Mystery Hut.
Yes. I knew you were going to like this.
You're burying the best story of the year, really. I mean, I don't care about lasers in space, but what about this Mystery Hut? So could it be a Starbucks? Maybe it's a Starbucks. I don't know. So they're asking in the chat room quite reasonably, don't we have orbiters that could go around and take a look?
They can, but it's really small, so they can image it, but from above it's just going to look like a slightly off angle square.
And if it's a secret military base, maybe they don't want to. Did you ever think of that?
Ooh, could be.
Maybe they.
What would be really cool is if you got over there with the rover and it had, glyphs on it, and you could start poking around with a robotic arm and punch a button and have it open up, and then that box spring would come out and whack right in the face of the rover, which would be the coolest moment.
It's Bruce Willis. Thank you so much, Rod Pyle.
You bet.
The Mystery Hut is the gift that will, at least for the next 3 months, keep on giving. Rod Pyle, space.nss.org. editor-in-chief of Ad Astra magazine, and the Mystery Hut. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That's hysterical. Man, I missed this story. The Mystery Hut.
Something?
Wow.
Sorry about the Zoom drop.
Oh, no, I don't care. I don't care. Phone, everybody else is on the phone. Why should you be special?
I don't like it.
I know. It was fun seeing you.
It was special. I don't like it when my web goes down. That's bizarre. But it's completely dead.
It really looks square. I mean, it really does.
Yeah.
What are the chances that you'd have a square rock from meteorite collisions? I mean...
Well, not nowadays, but back during the late bombardment period, they call it, back about, I don't know, what was it, 3.5 billion years ago, something like that. You got some very big impacts and weird stuff happens. And as we see on Mars, we keep seeing these weird rocks that look very much like, one looked like an artillery piece, this odd formation. You got the dragon's teeth on the ground that are left behind when the soft stuff erodes. So you can get some really weird patterning. Great for conspiracy theories, but also really interesting for the geologists because they got to sit there and figure out intuitively, okay, how the heck does this form? And then, of course, on the moon, you've got the lower gravity. So that can change things up, too. So there's a lot of ways that could have happened. But, let's get closer and see. And, boy, what a feather in the cap for the Chinese if they spotted something, huh?
Well, I mean, the likelihood that this is an alien artifact seems low. But maybe, low. I don't know.
Like 0.000. Yeah.
I mean, wow.
Yeah, I mean,
from the distance, they must know the dimensions of it. How big is it?
It was interesting. They didn't say. And
I know why, because it's a military installation. They don't want anybody to know.
If it's theirs, maybe they really wouldn't say for sure, right?
They wouldn't have mentioned it in the first place.
I think they're going to get there and see that it's an Amazon Prime box.
Yeah.
Jeff's been up to some quiet stuff he hasn't been telling us about.
Wow. I think this is cool.
Isn't it?
Yeah, because, traditionally, in all of the science fiction, anything that's kind of got straight edges is a human artifact or an artifact of some kind.
Yeah.
You just don't. Yeah. So you just don't see it in nature. And this, it's hard to tell. It's such a low res photo, but it does look pretty dang square.
It does. It does. And I actually was kind of surprised the photo was that low res. I thought they'd have a better view of it, but I guess not from where they are. So they got to drive over there and take a closer look. But it'll be late for Christmas, but boy, what a gift that would be if that happened.
Crystalline objects often have straight edges, so it could just be
right.
A crystalline object of some kind.
Yeah, but that's a big crystal, if that's the case.
Well, that's what I'm curious. What are the dimensions of that? I'm really curious. Yeah.
Well, it's about 260 feet distant, so if I could drag out my old high school mathematics, I could probably figure it out, but I didn't do that beforehand, I'm afraid.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, sir. Have a great week.
All right.
I will
play the X-Files theme for us, will you?
Oh, yeah. Then we'd feel like we were on Coast to Coast. See, Art Bell would never have let you start talking about lasers after the Mystery Hut.
No, that's true. That's true.
He said, wait a minute, forget the lasers. Tell me more about the Mystery Hut. They say it's the link shows a region in question in the Mystery Hut about half a meter per pixel. So how many pixels is it? That might be pretty big. Half a meter per pixel.
That'd be large. That'd be one
maybe 20 or 30 meters high. Wait, who? Now I'm really intrigued.
Yeah, maybe.
Mystery Hut. All right. Thanks, Rod.
Stay tuned.
See ya.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for letting me be your tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thanks to Professor Laura, our musical director. Nice job, Professor. Played some great obscure music this week. Thanks to our phone angel, Kim Schaffer, answering the phone. Most of all, thanks to you for listening and calling, and I appreciate it. Wouldn't be the same without you. So thank you for giving me the chance to be your tech guy. Back to the phones we go. Time for a couple more calls. Louis on the line from San Diego, California. Louis or Louie? What do you like?
Louis.
Hi, Louis.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm great. What's up?
So I was calling because so I'm pretty invested in the Samsung ecosystem.
Okay.
And I recently ordered the Galaxy Book Pro 360.
Mm-hmm.
So I can get some digital editing done and also some digital art. And I kind of just want to hear your opinion on it. One thing that I was kind of concerned about was the palm rejection on the Galaxy Book.
Have people complained about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
normally, you know, the, companies that it's kind of an interesting layout. Companies with trackpads will have software that says, you know, if you're typing, forget whatever's happening on your palm. But this thing, it's not exactly a trackpad. The reason they call it the 360 is because it has this. I don't know what is it? Oh no, I guess it is a trackpad. Never mind. This isn't the one with two screens. This is a regular trackpad. I think so you've read online that they're having trouble with palm rejection?
Right.
Yeah. So generally what happens, I'm sure Samsung sourced this from Synaptics. Everybody does. And it would be just a driver that would say, hey, if you're typing or you're using the pen, ignore what happens on the trackpad. You might even be able to find third-party software that does that. I have to say, I really like Samsung's laptops. I think they make really great stuff. This is going to be interesting because you got a very good screen. It's an AMOLED touchscreen, which, of course, Samsung makes the best screens out there. AMOLED is a battery hog, so I don't know how battery life will be. Are you going to use the 5G as well?
Yes, I'll be using a 5G.
Yeah. So that'll be one of the question marks I would have. I'm not going to worry about palm rejection. I think that that's something that can be solved. If they haven't solved it now, all they have to do is update the drivers. This looks like a really nice system. What processor did you put in it?
I believe it's the 1 terabyte of storage.
Okay. And you got an i7 in there? Let me see what they're yeah.
The Evo.
The Evo, okay. Yeah, Evo is just a marketing term from Intel.
Okay.
I usually ignore those marketing terms. It's an i7. I just want to see which i7 is in there. It's very nice. Don't worry about it, I guess is what I would say. I know when you order something for $1,000 and then you go online, you go to Reddit and you start reading people say, hey, you know, it doesn't do. You get all nervous. Don't get nervous. This is going to be fine.
Okay.
This is going to be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. I think you got a nice machine, and I think Samsung does a very good job with their laptops.
Okay, cool.
What are you going to do with it?
A little bit of digital video editing and also digital art.
Perfect, because it's got a pen.
Yeah.
That OLED screen is great for that kind of thing because it really looks good. I think you're going to have fun. I think you got a nice. Let me reassure you, you'll be fine. And if there is problems with the trackpad rejecting palm movements while you're using the keyboard, they'll be able to update that. Just, you know, call them and say, hey, man, okay. This is not cool. I think that, where did you see that? Reddit?
Reddit, right.
Yeah. So just, you know, you should know, Redditors never met a piece of hardware they couldn't complain about. Always take that stuff with a grain of salt.
Got it.
I felt bad for a long time. I bought a Alienware desktop. And the people on Reddit said, "Oh, why would anybody buy that? You could get it. You should build it yourself. What a crazy design, blah, blah, blah." And I love the thing. It's great. Got no problems with it. Pete, that's what Reddit is made for. And, you know, if you know enough to kind of say, okay, yeah, it's still, you know, useful. I read Reddit religiously, but, you know, you just got to understand what you're getting. Redditors, what are you going to do, right? Last call of the day. Tom on the line from Medina. Hi, Tom.
Hi. I'm so lucky to get through today because I had a quick question.
You made it.
Yeah, I did. I'm going to celebrate afterwards.
What can I do for you?
I told you call screener I wanted to ask a couple of second quick question. Well, the first question is, I have a special needs daughter that I'm the sole caretaker of. She's not totally blind, but she's legally blind.
Okay.
And and she listens to a lot. She listens to a lot of music on a music player.
Sure.
But the problem is she's not very. I don't know what her nickname is Helen Wheels.
She's not very careful with her stuff. Is that what you're saying?
Right. That's what I'm saying. So I want to get a new, I don't know, a durable but not real expensive player-to-player music.
Yes.
Got any suggestions?
Sure. Now, does she listen on headphones?
Yes, she does.
And where does does she get it streaming or does she have the music? Because that's a big difference.
No, it's not streaming. I put music onto the device.
Perfect. Get her a SanDisk clip. SanDisk, which is best known for making storage, and I think probably they created this line because they had a lot of leftover SD cards or something. They make a player called the SanDisk Clip, $39. Inexpensive. You can get it at Best Buy. You get it at Target. If she breaks it, no big, right? You get another one.
Yeah.
But they're pretty. She's going to have a hard time breaking it. Got nice big buttons, easy to use. You can. What's nice is it comes with storage, but it also has an SD card slot, a micro SD, so you can plug it into your computer, copy all her music, put 256 gigs on there if you want, copy all her music over, pop it in, easy peasy. And if she breaks it, just pop it out, put it in the next one. I think they're probably the least expensive music player out there.
Wow. I mean, okay, just a quick on that. I'm going to get one of those, but how do you select songs to play on that? How does that?
It's got a screen. If you look on Amazon, look on Amazon. Okay. They have a variety of different ones. They're all under $50. They come in colors. What's their favorite color?
Should I say that she's colorblind? So
nuts. Well, get it in pink anyway.
Okay.
Then you won't lose it. You have to charge it. You have to remember to charge it, but that would be true of any. And it has a nice screen on it. Makes it very easy to figure out what's going on.
Wow. Sounds great.
Yeah. 18-hour battery life.
Wow. Can I ask you one quick question?
Sure, Tom.
I haven't got iDrive yet, I confess. You recommended that. But there was a guy's name you recommended that said, you got to have, this is a guy, like a Steve Gibson guy that talks about backing up things. He's got.
Yeah. He's my friend, photographer Peter Krogh, Krogh. But what you want to go to is his website, which is DP, as in digital photography, Best Flow, as in workflow, I think it's .org. Yeah, .org. It's from the Library of Congress. And if you go there under best practices, you'll see a thing on backup. And that's his famous 3-2-1 backup. Everything you need to know about backup.
The 3-2-1 backup.
Yep. He's the guy who invented it. I'll put a link in the show notes for you.
iDrive can be one of the three things?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
And you're a great dad. What's your daughter's name?
Heather.
Heather. Hi, Heather. You're going to get a nice present from Santa.
Well, she's taking her nap while Dad does all the work.
Tom, have a great holiday. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
No, I was just saying bye to the listeners. You don't have to say goodbye. We got right up to the edge. I'm glad you asked. Yeah, those SanDisk players are cheap. They're not, I mean, look, they're not, iPods. They're not iPhones, but they're inexpensive and they work and they sound great and they do the job. So I think she'll be very happy.
Are you still talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm talking to you.
I'm listening. I heard the music. I thought you were going.
Well, the radio audience is gone, but you're still there.
All right.
Just you and me now, man.
Well, can I ask you one more quick question?
Sure.
To get in?
Yeah.
But I can't. If you ask me, I have an iPhone 12 Pro or something. I plug it in through the USB port to my Windows 10 PC. But I don't know what Windows program.
iTunes. iTunes is what you want. What happens is, and Windows is weird this way. If it's photos, it'll pop up whatever Photos app you tell it to use. It'll by default use Windows Photo app. But if you want music and stuff like that, you could use Windows Media Player, whatever default is on your Windows machine. You can change that, by the way. But generally, you want to use iTunes because that's the program Apple wants you to use.
Well, the problem I have is whatever pops up without me asking, you think with those pictures?
You can change that. So when you connect the device, you'll see you can choose what launches when you connect a USB device, storage device to your computer. Windows will say, well, for photos, what do you want me to launch? For music, what do you want me to launch? And so you can choose that.
Because what it does, which really frustrates me, it backs up 400 or 500 photos, and I got 1 million on my iPhone, and then it just quits.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Microsoft. Another fine product from the labs in Redmond. There's better apps. It'll do whatever app you say is your default photo app. So you can buy a decent app if you want.
Recommend a decent app to get.
Well, the best out there would be Photoshop Elements. It's under $100. But there are lots of photo album apps. Depends on what you want to do. If you want to do editing, Photoshop Elements. By the way, when you install that, I think by default it will change that behavior. It'll say, okay, I'm the captain now. So that you won't have to worry about figuring out. Let me just see what else people use.
What if I confess that I have Photoshop Elements? I purchased it but never used it.
Okay, good confession. That's going to save you $80. Now just install it.
Okay.
And it should, in the installation, it should change the default behavior when you attach your iPhone.
But see, I just want to make sure all those phones, the biggest thing, I want them all copied to my somewhere.
Yeah. So that's, remember the last couple of calls ago, I said another thing to do is put Google Photos or Amazon Photos on your phone, and they'll back up automatically. And then you have them in the cloud. Google Photos is a great choice for that.
What is?
Google Photos, photos.google.com. It's an app. You put it on your iPhone. You have to go in the settings and say, back up all my photos. And then there's a button that says delete photos that have been backed up, and you can delete them all. That's nerve-wracking, isn't it? How about Amazon Prime? Are you an Amazon Prime member?
Yeah, Amazon Prime guy.
Then use Amazon Photos, also an app. It'll back up, and it saves the original quality on Amazon servers.
All right. I guess to me, that's safer than...
Yeah. Well, it's full quality, too, unlike Google Photos, so definitely the way to go.
All right.
All right.
You're just making my life so happy today.
Well, Tom, you're a great dad. I want to give you some support.
Well, I need more support.
I know. I bet you do.
On Tuesday, I just got her an insulin pump. She's an insulin diabetic, too.
Oh, my. How old is she?
I don't want to. She's 39.
Oh, so. But you taking care of her and you love her.
Yeah, I do.
You're such a great father. Oh, that's awesome.
Well, you're a great father, too.
Oh, yeah. My daughter's only 29, but she needs help, too. Believe me.
But you got a son that I talked to. I mentioned his movie.
His TikTok. His TikTok, man. He's like he's a TikTok star now. I can't even get him on the phone anymore. He says, call my agent.
Isn't he a gamer, too?
He's all sorts of things. But, he's certainly a gamer, and he became a drone guy for a while. But now he's got 1.6 million followers on TikTok.
Oh, my gosh.
I know. His name is Salt. Look for Salt_Hank. Salt_Hank. He's a cook. He's a cook. His last video got 2.1 million views, 2.1, 4 million, 3 million. His world famous California burrito, get ready, stand back. It got 27 million views. 27. Yeah, he's a superstar. I can't even get him on the phone anymore.
I hope he makes money off of that.
Yes, he does.
He's going
to sell salt.
Oh,
Salt_Hank.
All right.
Hey, Tom, I got to run. Pleasure to meet you. Keep up the good work. Take care of your little girl. You know what? She's always your little girl.
Maybe the next time I'll call, I'll have her and she'll say hello.
I would love to talk to her. She never stopped being your little girl, did she?
No, and she's just kind of difficult sometimes. But
I know. It's hard. I know. Believe me, I understand. I know what you're going through, and I sympathize. But you're also hanging in there. God bless you.
I'm in the process of trying to figure out what's going to happen because I'll be 70 this month. So
yeah, that's the next question. Yep.
I'm trying to.
Is it just you?
Yeah, my wife died in 2009.
Oh man, I am sorry.
Yep.
Tom, you're an inspiration to us all. Thank you.
No, that's it's your kid. You got to take care of them.
That's right.
I don't want her going anywhere else.
I know. God bless you.
Well, thanks, Leo.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. It's really a pleasure.
Thanks for taking the talk to me.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.
Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.